Many a sin I have witnessed, and in many indeed I have been. Many a rat I befriended, and so many a thorn stood between. But of all of the demons I've known, none could compare to you. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Many a mind I have haunted, and in many a way I have been. Often the one to have flaunted an image grotesque and obscene. But of all these dark roads that I roam, none could compare to you. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Drink me, eat me, then you'll see the light. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. You'll see the light. Every day that you feed me with hate, I grow stronger. You'll see the
Like a semi-retired knight,
Hello.
basically. Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi. I guess I should turn off all my tells and stuff.
I can't believe you're here a whole minute early. How dare.
Well, you know, that's just the way it happened. The song ended, so.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah, welcome back everyone to the weekly Milestone stream where I haven't turned my tells off because I'm just so excited here.
I forgot that your picture was Bob the Builder. Fuck.
Yeah, an avatar I've carried for nearly 5 years.
And
Excellent.
she forgot.
Oh, wonderful.
Let me fix it here. Oh, I already turned it off. Nice.
Oh
There
man,
you go.
I was
There.
just about to send Eric's all the juicy in character
Yeah.
spoilers, but
There.
it tells
Everything's
off
off
just
now.
in time.
The
Jeez
Death
Louise.
Star is complete, and now everybody knows.
I mean, oh look, Layla's even admitting it in chat that they're stream sniping me. I've already had that happen when Aline was on last time. I'm like trying to show, PVE, and like I get stream sniped and she attacks me while we're on the stream
That was
together.
hilarious. That was incredible.
Anyway, yeah. So did everybody have a good holiday season? Would anybody
Oh,
like to talk
absolutely.
about
I got some new kitten scratches. It was very kind of her.
that? Okay.
I
I have been bashing and dying and relaxing. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, too much food, too many people. Ergo, a perfect holiday.
What about you, Isid?
I worked yesterday, but I made myself a nice meal, so.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, we have Ictennis here who's here to talk about, Aetolia producer Ictennis things, but before we get started, before we dive into that, I figured it'd probably be best to do this before instead of after. So we about middle of the week, I had an idea to do something for Ictennis, and then it evolved into why don't we do something for the whole pools, because I figured that knowing you that's probably what you would have preferred. So the all the people that I could get a hold of that helped us do this, I think the we did a really good job, and it's not just like something that I did, it's something everyone did. So I'm going to send you the link to this Happy Holidays card that we all made and signed for you all. And somebody made the art for it too. We made special art for it, and I will show it here shortly. Let me find you real quick so I can DM you. Okay. And see what you think about that. I'm going to pull it up on the stream here too. But we had some art made here by Aaliyah in Aetolia, and I paid her for it with credits. And it's every single person that we know of in the pools, their description in art form that we got with the hand mirror artifact.
This is great.
nice.
Very unexpected.
And we tried to hide it the best we could, because like I know people can snoop on people on accident and stuff and see that, but yeah. But it was a lot of fun.
What was kind of funny for me was that Eric sent me this link, and then someone else who had the link immediately sent it to me,
Yeah.
like, hey, just so you know, we're doing this. I was like, I do know. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I'll scroll down for the stream so they can read some of the various things.
All the personalized messages are really sweet. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. You earned it.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a lot of excellent work. You know that particularly you came to us in a time where things were kind of low, but I think that at the very least I could say for myself that the months that you have been working here with all the Solani up there have been some of the best months that we've had in Atolia for a very long time.
Agreed.
I love that short and sweet, Iyaku.
I am very much not good at writing messages like this, honestly, but I felt like it was true.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
absolutely.
it's just been really good stuff all around from the pools.
It has.
The past few months. God, I don't even know how long it's been.
It's not
But
just that either.
Since I came back, it's just been a huge improvement. So
It's not just the players either. From my understanding, it seems like people in pools are a lot happier too, which is super duper important.
Yeah.
Because they're just as vital to the game as players are. So I'm very pleased by it.
Yep. And
Jeez.
this art turned out even better than I could have expected or dreamed
Yeah,
of.
the art looks really good.
Yeah. I love how it uses kind of uses Tiani's little world map on the table too. Very cool. And it's funny because if you use the hand mirror and you look at Ted Renai's description, it's literally like one sentence and it's all in rainbow colors. So like that's what the person came up with based on that on the far left there. So
That's pixel rainbow.
Yeah.
That works.
yeah. And then of course they said that Nils on the far right was the most interesting one to draw, the most challenging. So
Excellent.
good
It's good
stuff.
work.
Yep. Very cool stuff. And I did decide to give that individual 100 credits to do that. So
I did not realize that Nils was on fire, but I think she'd agree it's very fitting.
I don't know if Nils is back. I just like kind of like asked people for Solani names, and Nils was actually the only one that I didn't come up with myself. So I don't know if there's more Solani now. I don't know if there's less, but we just kind of wanted to include everyone we could think of. So anyway, let's get into it.
Nils a female Solani.
I don't know.
It's kind of interesting because it's a Swedish boy name.
I like this rootin' tootin' cowboy over here.
Yeah. Yep. It was the
Excellent.
Yeah, that's Wyatt.
Yeah, love that.
Mhm.
Love that for him.
Is he in the chat? He probably is in the chat.
He's usually here.
I think he is. He just hasn't said anything yet.
Usually here being a smart aleck.
I see him in the chat, like the user listings in the chat, but he hasn't said anything yet.
No, he hasn't found anything to pick on you for yet. He'll get there though.
Yeah. About that. There's always tons to pick on. Well, 10-4. Oh, there he is. Did you see yourself in the picture, Wyatt? I was honestly a little surprised that the picture didn't have a cowboy hat on him, but it still looks awesome. It's good stuff. And also today we will be giving out the 5 stockings. I just need to remember to do that and do the little giveaways as we go along. But yeah, we should probably get into it.
Sounds good.
Don't want to waste too much time, so we decided to start out this time with all the stuff that Ictennis would like to talk about, or would you guys can ask him questions in chat, or we can ask him questions here, or both. But pretty much, just more of what he probably already posted about, like, how is the year gone? How is next year gonna go? Like, anybody got any questions?
I have one, and it's not going to hurt my feelings at all if you can't answer it. But there's been a lot of speculation on what the new neutral class could be, and I'm just wondering if anyone said something you've noticed and you're like, yeah, that's pretty close.
I will uphold my previous comment that it is not Weircats.
Oh,
Okay.
Raz must be devastated.
Yeah, I'm sure Raz is completely devastated.
oh man.
He'll have to learn how to cope without them.
Good grief.
I don't know. You've seen his little his petition, right? His change.org.
Yes.
It's the best.
We have a first time chat from Mayhem Mistress just saying war system ?
The loaded question.
Yeah.
We are thinking about stuff, is about all I can say at the moment. I'm not sure what we want to do yet, but the recent war has obviously highlighted the fact that a lack of objectives is not great.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's great that you all managed to come to a resolution because, bluntly, even though I wasn't intending to intervene, I was expecting at some point to have to do something.
Right.
That's a fair expectation.
That's a
So-
very fair one. Yeah.
So I'm very glad that you all managed to come to some sort of resolution, but we probably don't want to repeat. If war is going to be more frequent, I think it needs a bit more structure.
Yeah.
I agree. I know there's always going to be diehards that are like, no structure, let it play out. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think that, like I said on the forums, I think there needs to be a balance. Like, there has to be objectives.
Yeah. Objectives are important.
Well, I think unfortunately sometimes people view the mechanics as a hindrance as opposed to something that is meant to help you. Because, for example, like the Templar talk about something that happened in the old war system rather frequently. Like there was just by some random RNG, we had one soldier from Anorian defeat an entire platoon from Bloodlock, which I'm sure was frustrating for them, but it created such a cool story moment that I think people view it as a hindrance when they really shouldn't. It's like rolling dice in D&D. Yeah, sure, you might get set back a little bit, but it's ultimately there to make the story more interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a fine line because mechanics can tend to sort of pigeonhole people into assuming that they can't do anything outside of those mechanics, which I think has been something that's a lot of people have mentioned in the context of like foci and lessers and whatnot,
Mhm.
wanting something that's not just, a system mandated reason to fight.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I still think there's a happy middle ground to be found.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think there's a balance to be made to make everyone happy about it and not just like have to shun one person's perspective over another's.
One thing that I've noticed, or that I've taken notice of, is the involvement of orders and shrines when it's been individual people doing all the things. And I think that might be something that it's worth taking a look at. It can be a bit frustrating for example, a small order to take care of all shrines and everything, or for Tiani then
Oh
being one
no.
of the few people. Oh no, no,
You
no!
just
I didn't
died.
die.
You got walked all over.
Damn ball of legs.
Damn spider balls.
I
Yeah,
love that death site.
That is a great death fight.
I'm about to die again.
No.
Come on, move
Oh.
it. I
Somehow
couldn't move
whispers sliced
enough.
you apart.
Oh well. There we go. No, but for example, Severn having no order but having shrines because he's still a divine. Demariel being a small order, and if Tiani does something, it shouldn't go out for over Severn's shrines, for example. If Eric's does something stupid, it shouldn't
What?
go.
What do you
People
mean?
shouldn't go for specifically Demariel's
Listen,
shrines because it's not Demariel acting. Just in a sense, you know.
Well,
something
in an
stupid.
ideal world, I mostly agree, but I also kind of like shrines as something that somebody can just go and start without needing explicit buy-in from the other side or an explicit, moment of the focus has appeared or the battlefield is due, that sort of thing. It's something that somebody can go and start off their own back, which isn't perfect, but I think it's better to have it than not to have it. And I also tend to think people put a bit too much emphasis on the need to replace shrines. Like
Yeah.
they're useful, obviously, but I think there's a really overbearing feeling that, oh my god, I've lost 10 shrines. I have to go and spend 3 hours now putting them back up.
No, I mean, as long as there are a few up so you can actually offer. It's worse when the shrines that are linked are dusted because then people's daggers get affected. They need to go
Oh,
run and get them attuned again to a different thing. So
that reminds
it
me.
it affects other things than just the shrine and the order. It affects the offering bit as well.
I will say, in terms of like other positives towards the shrine defilement thing as it currently is, um, if it turns out that, say, we have a lot of players that are like, they want to push conflict, and a way to see if an order is up for that conflict is yes, you go dust a shrine.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, like, the aura that it gives you means that you do still have a chance to get conflict from other people because it's an open PK aura, even if it turns out that the order you initially went after isn't super into it as an idea. I think obviously it depends on how whoever comes after you plays it. It's not perfect, but it's still, I would agree that it is a good system, if only because it lets you put that hook out like, hey, if you're interested, I'm interested in conflict with this order. And then
Yeah.
Right.
they don't have to take it if they don't want to.
We know who actually defiled. In some cases, it's like, okay, I wasn't there. No one was there to see who actually did the defiling. It might have been plenty of people. I have no idea who to enemy to this order because I don't know who actually did this. And then it's an issue because the conflict that someone is aiming for is not going to happen.
Maybe a defilement aura when you have it sort of indicates which god has given you that defilement aura.
Oh,
That
so a
would be a
flavor.
good, yeah, I think.
Yeah, like because then
Yeah.
it's a different aura, like
Right.
and maybe it's something where it kind of feels like the thing that they represent has been taken from you. Like
Yeah.
let's say if you defile Ethne's shrine, suddenly the air around you is oppressively cold. No matter how much you put on, you can never get warm, kind of thing. Like it could be cool to give it some flavor text like that, and then you
Would be
know
so much
who it
fun.
is that has defiled your shrine. Yeah.
That would make sense. It would make sense to know who they offended in some way, and that would make it easier to start a conflict and keep that up. So yeah, I really like that idea.
For sure. Let's go over Isid's question that he put in chat because he didn't want to talk over anyone. He said, "Have you considered revisiting the intro and how it advertises the 4 city orgs?"
Yes and no. Intro stuff is on the now infamous list to have a look at some point. Although more broadly, the newbie experience rather than specifically the Slavers Island show. But as I wrote in my end of year post, org culture is something that we want to tackle a lot more this year.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that would be included in that sort of manifesto.
Nice.
Awesome.
I look forward to guild stuff because the Templar were sort of the big thing that my girlfriend got me into the game. So the Templar were really the big thing she used to get me into the game. Because I'm a sucker for an Order of Knights. So that's sort of, I look forward to expanding upon that. And I also look forward to finding out how other guilds are expanded upon. Because, like, I don't know. I just like seeing people who are so enthusiastic about their guild get something. Like when the Sentinels had the Warden event, it meant shit all to me. I didn't know any of that Sentinel stuff, but all the Sentinels there seemed so excited about everything that went on with that event. So it was cool to watch.
Yeah, I think mirror classes are a good way to give guilds a bit of a steroid in terms of their culture and role play and whatnot and identity, but it's not the only way. So we'll be
Right.
Yeah.
looking at what more we can do there from like a Solani god patron POV.
From the perspective of someone who was in the Sentinel Guild before and after we got Warden, like it really, really helped to get that because it gave us some more space to work with.
Space is good.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
We didn't in Templars. We didn't get a mirror class yet, but whenever there was that thing with Mathis's shrine, or not shrine, but statue inside the guild hall, all the stuff
Yeah.
surrounding that helped a lot too. That was a really cool, like little event. Kind of, made it kind of built upon interpersonal relationships between the members of the guild too. Bonding over going against the statue and stuff. So it was a really
I
cool event.
think our guild has the benefit of having a really well established culture built to it. Because when you join the Templar, chances are you know what you want to play. Like it's the classic Order of Knights. So
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to build a pretty robust culture that encompasses that.
Same thing for Sistin. It's sort of the assassins, defenders of Spine's Reach.
Right.
You know that if you want to play the sneaky kind of type that goes around in the shadows, spies on people, and gathers information, you go there.
Yeah. So
Mm.
so I think it's yeah.
If all orders or if all organizations had that kind of clarity in what they were and what their aim was, I think that the game would find it an easier way to start conflict and interact between organizations.
Yeah,
Yeah, I tend to be of the same opinion. I think having a solid culture and identity and idea of what your goals are as a guild, order, or a city is really important.
Yeah.
yeah. And one of the last streams we had, we were talking about the story of the game and stuff, and like they were asking me my opinion about like where do I think it's gonna go or where do I wish it would go, and like I said the things about Albedos and like wanting it to have like some kind of resolution, and it's not that I dislike that. I actually really like the Albedos story. I just wish it wasn't like The Walking Dead where it goes on forever, you know. But I just think that in Aetolia there's a lot of things that we could do with like little threads, you know, in Sapience, and it doesn't have to be Albedos, and it can still be very, you know, it can be big, it can be small, it can still be interesting, and that's what I meant by that at the time.
I do also think, though, there are a lot of things we haven't touched with Albady gods, or a lot of Albady gods we haven't touched at all. That I think, depending on how things go forward with them, they could be a big part of revitalizing a lot of Ord culture.
Dejani.
Dejani,
Dejani.
for
Yeah.
example,
Dejani.
or I'm really curious about Illamos personally because I get like I could be totally wrong from the brief description. I get like kind of a naturey vibe from Illamos, and so I'm curious, what does Albedi nature look like compared to what our cycle looks like? How
Right.
would that change Dwirin's view on nature, or would it? Or would it be like a big divide springing up? I think just by the nature of how the Albedi gods are woven into the world, they let us explore very different parts of our orgs.
Yeah, personally, I've always thought that the dual pantheon aspect is one of Aetolia's strongest lore points, especially coming from Achaea, where there's kind of a single pantheon and they're all super old, and it's a stark contrast, and I think it's one of the game's strongest points. I can't really comment a lot on specifics, unfortunately.
Right, yeah. I'm sort of the I mean I get wanting to explore more localized threats and stuff like that. So I totally understand that, and I think that there's a lot we can do with just the threats that are going on in Aetolia. But I'm sort of in the opposite camp of I love this Albady stuff. I really love the Albady stuff because I have a fondness for unknowable gods. Like there's something so like it's very interesting to see sort of a Greek style god where you can actually sort of interact with them and speak with them versus a god that if you look at them you die. Like I love that kind of stuff so much. I like the complexity that it brings. Um
It's a nice
and
contrast to what you were saying in the call before the stream as well, about how you like the relatability of sapient gods by comparison.
yes. It's I like that sapient gods are so relatable because it's almost like they're when you compared to Albady gods, they're basically mortals. They're essentially just ascended mortals compared to Albady gods. And that to me is so cool because to us the gods are like all powerful and then there's something even more. I just love that stuff. I love big things like that, and I like even just this reveal that this Albady event has given. It probably gives our cities and our orders and our guilds enough to act on in terms of the game for months. I would say that there could be conflict between the two sides and all that stuff for months just based on what we learned about the Albedi in this one event. So
Yeah.
I really like it, but I definitely totally understand the desire to explore stuff that's a little bit more localized too. Like that's not a bad desire to have at all.
Oh yeah. Like there's just so many threads that, have been forgotten over the years and stuff. Like little things in Sapience, and it's I'd just like
Yeah.
to see that stuff, get some love again instead of, everything having to be Albedos all the time. But
A lot of things that could be resolved around Sapiens first, I think.
I think it's quite hard to judge the sort of pace or feel as well after
Yeah.
such a long drought of events, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
like, even from our side, I don't think we
Yeah.
know what normal is yet.
right, fair enough.
the last Albedos event, or like Albedi God event before this one, was the Jocks event, which was a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if this is the pace of like how often we get Albedi God events, I would actually ask for them more often, not less often.
Well, there was Sky Throne too that had Hava. Listen, I'm just saying, I was there.
But it wasn't that big, and it didn't affect the world in the same sense as Jocks did.
Yeah.
And this Ivalamon thing, those have, impacted a lot of people, even though they weren't there a lot. It has changed a lot in the world, and people are talking about it. You got, the information dump just, blew my mind completely. Being there and just listening to all that history and lore being, handed out, and everyone was like, oh, nice. Now we actually know stuff. So that was fantastic. And Hiva event, it wasn't that cataclysmic in a way.
Well,
The Hiva event I felt was I felt at the time, and I feel now, especially now that we know what is actually going on, that it was sort of it was supposed to be an indicator to us that even though Varian told us to trust Bamathus in all matters Albedi, that we shouldn't really. It was kind of the first indicator we got that one, he couldn't defeat an Albedi god, and two, that he would ask us to do terrible things in the name to defeat Albedi gods.
right.
So that was sort of to me what that was. The Mun conversion event is much the same. We didn't see any Albedi. It was kind of Albedi related. And while, yes, a lot of us who were trying to convert Mun were trying to do it because we were trying to save them from being killed,
Yeah.
we also did something terrible, which we now, as people who are on Spirit side, have to reconcile that we have done bad things, which I think is good for the organization to learn that just because you do bad things doesn't mean you can't make them right and that kind of thing. So it's I think yeah, the Sky Throne I think was less about Hiva to me and more about showing us what Bamathus was going to ask of us and for us to make that decision. Yeah.
At the same time, I think it's kind of cool that the game can still be split about this. That some people are still, maybe we shouldn't listen to Varian, and other people are like, yeah, Bamathus is so right about everything, and people all the way through from through the whole grayscale from black to white and everything in between. It makes it really interesting to talk to people.
Yep.
I
Just
agree.
getting a sense for, okay, so where are you in this spectrum? what kind of thing do you believe? And for just taking an example, my character is absolutely, convinced that at least one of the Albedi deities should never ever be trusted and should be destroyed as fast as humanly possible.
Yep.
but maybe some of the others are okay. I'm sorry, I need to go take care of my cats because they're
Uh-oh.
wrecking my home.
No.
That's fair.
I understand. Believe me.
And Dragon Mom is back according to chat, so that's important.
Well,
to
hey,
talk
there you
about,
go.
too.
Yeah, I really love Tenix Althus as a god. When you guys were talking about this earlier, I just didn't want to interrupt, but I'm a big fan of the more inhuman gods. I still love our gods, and I love how they're played. But there is something very appealing about capital I it gods like a Valamon or a literal dragon who is a god because she ate the previous god. I think that's really cool. If I had a shadow character, that is probably the order that I would be most attracted to on an out of character level.
Does anybody
I've,
else in chat have
go
any specific questions for Ictennis, though? While we have Ictennis here to
Yeah.
talk about the future and the last few months. Here's a question while we're waiting. So, Ictennis, did you have, like, obviously you had a plan between when you started and now, because, like, we've seen changes. Was there anything, like, in particular that just did not completely go to plan at all that you could talk about anyway?
Nothing went like completely off the rails, I don't think. There were a few other cleanup projects that I wanted to do before the end of the year that didn't end up getting done because our big story event in November went a bit longer than intended. I'd say that's probably the only thing that didn't really fit the original vision.
Gotcha.
I can say that we did not intend the ship at the start of the event,
Really?
which had an impact on how long the event as a whole ran for.
The ship was so
Yeah.
cool.
It really felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, I was so surprised about it. I was like, this is a whole thing that I just did not even expect, and it was very cool. I really enjoyed it.
It was so cool.
I
The
think
ship
a
so
combination of like everybody being so excited about us having a big event from both sides, pools and players, kind of made us all go a bit crazy. So it ended up being longer than we anticipated, but I think it was worth it.
Oh yeah.
I think
Very
it was
cool.
really cool. It was really interesting because like most events will go maybe a week, or in my experience they had been like maybe a week long, maybe a little bit more. But this went on for like a month, and that made it really interesting and tense because not only did this go on for a month, then we all got bees in our bonnets and started killing each other.
Yeah.
So it was just awesome. I liked it a lot.
I can also say we were very amused on the night the event ended, where everybody was saying, maybe we'll have a reason to stop fighting after this.
The direct opposite happened, in fact.
Yeah.
Sounds
We were
like
all
us.
sitting there like, oh, maybe this will give us a chance to calm down. Nope.
Common
Not in the
threads,
slightest.
yeah. Nope.
So funny.
Droog of New in chat says, if you could bring anything from Achaea to Aetolia, what would you bring?
That is a really good question.
Do you want to circle back to it and give it some thought?
My initial thought is an expanded version of Achaea's sovereignty, shrines, and crusade system.
Yes, please.
I really like those. And apart from that, well, maybe ships.
Maybe. I'm not gonna lie, I can't imagine you all making an entire ship system like that and only using it one time. So
yeah, there's no way we would just do that for an event, right?
I mean,
absolutely no way. Totally.
I can't imagine. Like, I don't know.
Oh man. I love it. I wouldn't mind it even if we very rarely got to use it again, but we could still do drills. Because I think I keep pushing for Anorian to add a navy unit
You and
to
Demario both.
their military now because we have a ship. I think even just as flavor text, it would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then Artsy Fartsy had a comment for you in chat.
I second this one.
Yeah, I'll let you read it there.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, we tried to do a fairly balanced and spread out calendar for year 500.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we noticed also that you had doubled a few of the events as they did a few years ago, which was very appreciated.
Yeah, the prevailing factor there was that in October we also had 2 class releases, which took up a lot of our time.
Understandable.
So we have a much more freeform month in January, at least until the mysterious comment from the 24th comes true.
Right.
Oh boy. And then Isid had the question: did the war make you guys reconsider which mirrors are next, or figure into your decision making at all?
Sorry, I'm just reading the question. No, we in fact are still not 100% decided on which pair is next.
All right, excellent.
We've been trying not to think about it until the new year, to be perfectly blunt.
Yeah. Good times, good times.
Since we got distracted by a 2-week war.
God, yeah.
I do have
Oh,
kind of a question. I'm just wondering, have you guys considered expanding? Because we just added gnomes. Have you considered expanding the race selection? Because I know in Achaea there are actually playable satyrs, which
Huh.
is kind of weird when I then come to Aetolia and half my city guards are satyrs, but they're not a playable race, or things like that. But it does also seem like a lot of the new races have a lot more put into their help files and everything, so it seems like maybe it's more of a time commitment than it would be otherwise.
Are you talking about expanding like the lore of existing races, or specifically adding new ones?
Oh, I was thinking more of adding races, but I am also curious about if there were any plans to expand the lore of existing races.
So, lore, please.
Original race lore is something that we would like to get to eventually. It's one of those things, a bit like the missing help class roleplay files, that we just need to carve out some time to work on at some point. In terms of new races, yeah, we're not against adding new races as and when like events make sense.
Right, but it's not just going to be like we think these should have been added a while ago, so we'll just pop them in now kind of thing.
Right.
It's just
We're
when
not
it makes
likely
sense.
to do that really. Like gnomes made sense because we ran a gnome centric event. So I would imagine any new race in future would kind of adhere to that pattern. The other thing to keep in mind is that the end game races, as far as I know, lore wise, only support sapience races at present. So even though I'm sure there's a lot of interest in the Albedos races, that's not really something that we can consider as things stand.
I would personally recommend goblins.
are you saying
I'm
you
just
want to
putting
be a
it out
goblin?
there. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying anything
Yeah, but
specific.
then you have to deal with the uncomfortable situation of playing a goblin and then seeing Eosid having a goblin
Right.
manservant.
I was about to say.
I could be a goblin manservant.
my
I
God.
feel like
Do you
that could
want
be
to be a
something I could roleplay.
Oh no.
I love Eosid, I love your goblin, by the way. This guy who hates you and pops up at the worst possible moment.
Like during a knighting earlier, Rasani, by the way.
Oh, the
Oh
best.
god. Who's knighting?
Fenid.
Fenitz, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
Like, I literally got a DM from Anarissa being like, what is that? And I had to explain it to her.
I liked particularly your goblin showing up literally in the middle of this intense vision we're getting of how we gained free will, and this goblin showing up having no free will to come give you a drink and hands it to you and tells you he hopes you choke on it. Magnificent.
Oh, only on Aetolia.
He's got great comedic timing.
Amazing comedic timing.
And
Ah.
Wyatt would like us to know that he is in fact Ictinus's goblin manservant.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say Wyatt is great. Goblins complain far more than Wyatt does.
Oh man, good times. There's some more shouting going on in game as we talk here. Good times, good times.
Yeah. I think it's funny that Weirin's name is in purple.
That's because he's targeted by me.
I
from
know.
earlier.
I know why.
Here.
It's just
I'll
funny
fix
to
it.
me because I know the context.
There, I targeted Iaku now.
Now I have to shout something at some point.
Oh goodness. All right, so yeah, I mean, like, does anybody else have any questions for Ictinus, or maybe we'll just skip questions and Ictinus will talk about this week's topics with us? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind staying on for a bit longer. I'm happy to answer questions, talk about whatever, really.
Yeah. Let's see.
My
here.
cat has obviously a question because he's screaming in the background, just so you know. I have no idea what he wants to ask, though. Gonna ignore him.
I should go do morning prayers while we do this. There we go.
I'm honestly, I'm a bad guest because I'm not sure. Is the thing you posted on the 23rd our list of subjects for today?
Maybe. Let's see here. I think it was. Let me scroll up. I can't remember when I posted it. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I had, but we can talk about anything.
Yeah.
It's just stuff.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Um,
sure because did not know.
I mean, at the time, that was kind of the stuff that I could think of, but obviously, there's stuff that's happened since then. We could also talk about year 500 in particular. There's a lot of stuff that he posted on the calendar. There's things I don't even know what they are on there, so that'd be kind of interesting to.
Well, there's another Iron Epicurean, which I will try to win. I keep getting second
Oh,
place, and I
speaking
want
of-
that first place so bad.
The ice
I'll
sculpture
see
one was really
if,
fun.
Starfall again and see if I can actually win one of them this time. Because last time I got second both of them.
Thanks for the follow, Dane. Dane is also the artist that did the picture earlier. Oh, thanks for the
Nice.
subscription too.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to the Resonance game and the Treasure Hunt. Those are fantastic fun. And the Egg Hunt. I've never been in one.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do a bit of everything for everyone and dig up some of the old games that haven't been used in years. And
Oh, I have a question about that one. The Triptychia tournament.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, the game is a little bit unbalanced because of the divine tiles that were added in a few years ago. So anyone who plays the game and does not have the divine tile sets is at a disadvantage, which is not. It doesn't really help the game and make it fun. Generally, when I play the game with someone new, I remove all those tiles from my set just to make sure that they are on an equal footing with me, because I don't want to have that advantage. But in a tournament, it would probably make things very uneven if some players play with the divine tiles and some players don't have that.
in the
Chance to look at?
in the tournament format, you don't actually have access to your own decks.
We did last time. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it shouldn't be the case for the next tournament.
Okay, good. Then it shouldn't be a problem. It's just that last time I think we did have our own decks and we were able to move them around and select tiles and everything. So
Yeah, the rules listed in the help file, which I'll just write in chat real quick,
Oh, okay. I can bring
should
it up too.
apply.
Which help file? Let's see here. Okay.
So sealed decks, your existing tiles shouldn't make any difference.
all right, that's fantastic. Good, that makes more sense. Then people can practice before then and just have fun. And it won't be, tilted results from that.
Well, there's a few questions in chat, but I'll start with the latest one because it applies to the events here. Is there any chance of repeating the events for other time zones?
We have done that for some of them, but I don't think we can really squeeze more in than is already there.
Fair. Seems like there's going to be stuff going on like constantly at all hours of every day.
Yeah, I have to find this list. Where is this?
I think it's in
There it
one of the
is.
recent announce posts.
Yeah, I just found it.
Yeah. I was curious about because of like if you read the post, it shows Wednesday and it shows like all the things that are starting on Wednesday, like along with the
Oh, we've
day
gotten
of the
ad
weeks.
break.
But
Ad
then,
break. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, fine.
For
We're
something.
pre-qualified for Capital One, apparently. That's crazy.
Well, good job.
Yeah, nice.
Well done.
Oh, I got one for Jackbox Games. All right.
Jackbox is actually really awesome.
It is a lot of fun. TKO is one of my favorites.
Quiplash is my favorite by far. But you that should probably come as no surprise to you with all my little puns and jokes.
I think that's ads done for me.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't remember what we were in the middle of talking about.
Okay,
to be
well,
honest.
now that we're back, I'm going to say that like I didn't understand like what is resonance? It just says 2100 resonance below all this like Wednesday January stuff.
Resonance game is a fun thing. It actually has helpful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it should do. It does look
So
like
help resonance. It's basically that you try
Oh,
to
okay.
unearth crystals and you get a sense of how far away from them you are, so you can know what area you need to get to. So you go to that area and then you try to navigate yourself closer and closer to where this crystal is buried, and you have to unearth it.
Gotcha.
And for each
That's
one
interesting.
you unearth, you get a point.
Very cool.
Hey, what do we got here?
Uh,
Walker's Tongue. I don't know what that is.
I've heard of that
It's
many
a word
times,
game.
and people love
A
it, but
word
I've
game.
never done it. So
Nice.
Basically, you try to spell a word backwards. So you start with a letter, and then I say another letter, and then you continue with the next letter from the back to front. And
Okay.
whoever ends up saying a letter that does not fit into that word loses.
So
Does not create a complete word in the end.
An ale run. Nice.
we'll get back to this list here in a second, but I do want to answer some of the questions the chat submitted. So, Dane and Kurak both submitted questions here. Kurak asks, "Have you considered more in-game bashing areas? Are they on the list?"
Sorry, I was reading. Yeah, it is on the list. We always want more bashing areas. It's just a kind of a case of priorities, and it tends to be the thing that New Solani make, rather than something that we just sort of make off our own back. If we were running an event that mandated a new area, then we'd probably release one. But short of that, it's not something that we're doing like proactively at the moment.
Makes sense. And then Dane's first chat is in there. They say, "I did have a question. Is there going to be a Star Festival in Albados?" I don't even know what a Star Festival is. It says there's a lot of things for sale there we can't get otherwise, and it's been ages.
Yeah, it's the festival ground area in Delve that opens up where you can buy a lot of new things. It's different shops and
The barge, I'm pretty sure, replaced it. Because ever since the Elbidi war that we're having with their gods, I'm pretty sure they have excluded us from the celebration.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
Yeah,
why.
that's correct. The Celebration of the Stars was cancelled by Delve because of tensions between sapiens and their oppression of Albedi religion.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Seems pretty fair.
yeah, reasonable, really.
Very
Uh, um,
much.
the barge is a lot of fun. As I recall, it has this delightful Grek, or Grook gentleman, who is a portly little frog man who comes into town. If I remember correctly, this might not be what it is anymore, but usually when his barge is in town, he's one of the he's one of the judges for the Iron Epicurean because he's just a fat frog that loves to eat. So
boy.
that's a lot of fun. Iron Epicurean's one of my favorites. Although I wish we had another brewing contest. I love those.
Yeah,
But I love the
you're
brew.
probably you're probably a little biased on that one.
I love brewing. It's so fun. I have a question for you, Ectennis. Will you let me make a a drink that has a rim salted with crushed up Yulem crystals if I let you guys make it kill people?
That sounds like
Ooh.
a question for Baku.
Okay, I'll ask.
Hmm.
Because I tried to make one once many years ago, and they were like, "This would kill people." I'm like, "I'm fine with that. Like, no
100%.
risk, no reward."
Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, I tried to put in a thing in my guild where if you did something wrong, you died, but they wouldn't let me do that.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to
Masani's drink, so that'd be fine.
you're allowed to drink the forbidden juice from the island pylons. So I don't see
Yeah,
why.
I think I should. I think I should be able to do it. And if it kills people, that's just how it is.
Did we really just say forbidden juice on the stream? Oh my god.
That's what it is.
It is, yeah.
Is this a sort of retaliation for the lie water? I wonder.
No, the lye water I'm obsessed with.
Yes, you are.
I love it. I talk about it any chance I get the opportunity to. It's one of my favorite crafted items in the game. This I tried to make years before. I think it might have been while she was up in pools. In fact, I tried to make this drink that a couple had commissioned me for because one of them was the leader of the pylon in Anorian, and I was like, "Oh, this would be kind of cute." Like, and they were like, "That's radioactive. You cannot do that." And I was like, "Come on, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
We're basically demigods. Why can't we just drink radioactive liquid?"
But Dane had a follow up question in chat about the celebration of stars. Will the things we can't get anywhere but there be turning up for year 500?
Yeah, I was just having a look into that while you were talking.
Ah,
Some of the items don't make sense to be available on Sapiens, but others do. So we'll have a troll through and see what we can do.
seems good.
Will there, I have to ask then, possibly be another set of or collection of Triptychia tiles for this time?
Not on the list at the moment, but there is a very large list of stuff to
Yeah,
come.
it should be prioritized, so it's fine. I'm just curious because it's fun.
Are all these things, and this is because, while I've played Aetolia off and on for like ever, I haven't been around all the time. Are all these games that are during year 500, are they all existing things or are any of them new?
I think all of them are pre-existing except for City Riddles, which is something that I wanted to
okay.
do.
Yeah, that sounds fun, actually. Sweet. It's been a while since I did a treasure hunt. The last
Yeah,
one
there's
that
quite,
we
there's
did.
quite a few of them on the list that haven't been used in a long time, so they're essentially new for a large amount of people.
Yeah. Like I saw the 2v2 city champions. I was like, that sounds new, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, I feel like city champions is I've heard that somewhere before, but I haven't
Yeah.
done it, so
Yeah, I think that's one of the Year X staple games that they have most times.
It is, yeah.
Let's see. What else is on here? The ale run is a lot of fun. I remember that being fun. I might try my hand at the duel again, even though Alayla spanked me. She decimated me. I don't remember who it was that beat me the second time. I think it might have been Bullrock.
Yep.
Um,
Actually, I could probably pull that up. Let me see here. It was
I'm not
Breakout,
sure
S
who it
Report, or
was.
something like that. Or what's it
Yeah,
called?
Knockout S report or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got my ass kicked by Alayla. Is
It
all I
was
remember.
Bullrock who knocked you out in the second
The
round.
second one. Okay, Bullrock beat me in the second one. Yeah.
Knockout, S Report.
I mean, there's no
Um,
shame in either of those losses for the
No,
obvious
not at all.
reasons.
I think my biggest problem was I think I would have done a better job with Alayla if I had stuck with AFs, but I wanted to try my limb route, and I just think that was a poor decision to make. I'd be interested to try fighting her again, just sticking with AFs. And I mean, obviously, hopefully she will join the duel, and maybe I'll get the opportunity to do it again.
Personally,
But
I think it's always worth joining those types of events because there's nothing to lose, and there's always the
yeah,
opportunity to
Yeah.
cause massive drama by knocking someone out that you didn't expect.
Right.
I ended up fighting a lot of people that were from Honorian
Yeah, I
because we
see
had a
that.
lot of newbies join and stuff. And Izzy and I fought, which was fun, and it was a good time. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Bullrock kicked my ass, but he always does. Like I don't think I've beaten Bullrock yet.
I did better than I thought I would because I'd never
He's
done one of
really
them
good.
before, and I went 3-2, which is not bad considering.
Yeah,
I just didn't feel prepared at all, honestly. And then I finally did some testing and got my stuff working afterwards. And I would have been like a round one out. I think I would have lost in round one, and then I would have lost in round one of losers. So it, I'm just not very good at reading logs. So losses
yeah.
aren't super useful for me either. So I was just kind of like, I need to fix what I've got before I go testing it.
My biggest issue from what it sounds like, because I've talked to Almal and Bullrock a little bit about various fights that we've had, and both of them have indicated that like first aid is pretty good, but I should also try to develop my own curing.
Yeah.
I can't code worth a shit, so that's sort of probably where my PK prowess ends. Is that I know how to I've got, people help me build stacks and that kind of stuff, but I can't I just can't wrap my mind around coding. So I think that's kind of where it's going to get me. Either that or I have to pay somebody to do it for me with credits or something. But I don't know that I care that much.
Right.
Cuz it's still fun for me even if I don't, win. It's still fun. It's still, I'm mostly a group PKer really. I'll do dueling and stuff. Like I'll duel and stuff like that, but I'm more of a group PK person.
Yeah, same thing for me. Usually when I end up in some kind of arena event, I end up fighting someone ridiculous like Fezix or Mjol or someone, and then I die because it's one of those. Oh, here we go. I have no chance whatsoever, and there I'm dead. Yes.
I almost beat Mule. I ran out of venoms the last time I fought her in the middle of the fight, and she kicked my ass. But she reached out to me after and was like, "That was scary for a hot second." And I was because I've never been a combatant, but I decided to get into it because I wanted Master at Arms. So I,
Yeah.
started learning how to PK.
Good times. Yeah, there was oh, Artsy Fartsy once beat Kyotan in chess. Their greatest accomplishment in Aetolia.
Nice.
I see. I like playing chess in Aetolia. It's been a while. I'm not very good at it. I know how the pieces like move, but I'm not like into reading chess books and stuff. But I love
Yeah.
that there's all these little things you can do in Aetolia, like play chess, and that like people don't like necessarily do all the time, but it's nice that they're there. It's like I went up to Isia the other day in character, and I was just like going to see how she was doing, and she was playing some kind of game that I'd never even heard of, and then started telling me about it on Discord. I was like, "What in the hell is this thing?" It's some kind
Was
of
this Farkle? She's obsessed
no,
with
it wasn't
Farkle.
Farkle. I've played Farkle. It was some kind of other one that's on like a board or something, where you have to move pieces around.
Was it Bug Rush?
No, let me find it. Let me look at her DM here.
Because Bug Rush is amazing.
It's fun.
It's like, let me see, where is she at here? Like shuffleboard or something like that. I don't know.
Dane says tilt board. Is that
Tilt
what that
board,
says?
yeah, that's what it was.
Tilt board.
I'd never even heard of it, and I've like had this character for 2 years, and like she was just standing there playing tilt board by herself and then explaining it to me. I'm like, how many other games exist that I've never heard of?
Yeah, I need to take a look at that. Where is that?
Let's see. I don't see a help file for it, but apparently you can find it in S report according to Dane.
I need to go look at that because that sounds fun.
Oh, you know what other game was really fun that I hope we get some more stuff with was Kingslayer.
Yeah, I think
really
somebody
enjoyed
said that
that.
recently. Yeah,
It was fun. Yeah, that was new too. And yeah, the puzzle cube person. That's the Rubik's cube.
yeah, she was telling me about that at the same time too. Actually,
Well, that it's basically a Rubik's cube, but I think that one of the sides is mirrored in a way, so it makes it a bit more difficult to solve it if you don't keep that in mind. For anyone out there trying to solve the puzzle cube.
We're still waiting for Razmail to fix the puzzle cube, by the way.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with it. What's wrong with it?
One of the sides is shown in reverse, I think. And it
Oh,
makes it difficult when you're turning it. So, but yeah,
gotcha.
I think that's the reason why it took me longer than I thought it would to solve it.
I can't do that kind of stuff. Puzzle cubes. Versani and I are both too stupid to do that. So
Nice.
it's all good. One day they'll add official trollish oil wrestling, and I'll be good at that.
I think
One
Listernia
day.
has like some sort of traditional dwarven wrestling, which is very like WWE adjacent or something.
I
always thought
picture
that was pretty funny.
I picture trolls doing the Turkish oil wrestling. I picture dwarves doing straight up WWE, and here comes the chair. Like, you know what I mean? Dwarves just feel like they would use instruments as part of their wrestling. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
definitely, yeah.
I remember there's like whole storylines about each individual dwarf NPC and how like they're the child of the previous champion, but they always get screwed over by the refs, etc., etc.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Until then, I just say that it's true, and then people ask me to wrestle them, so it works out.
I added a bunch of riddles and brain teasers into the Sciomancer Guild Hall, into a shadow maze for people to enjoy if they wanted to. I remember throwing Takayas in there when he joined the guild, basically, and said, "Hi, good luck." Uh, and then he wandered around in there and tried to solve all these riddles before I let him out again. I usually threatened to put him back in there if he didn't behave. That was fun.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what we have left to ask Ictennis here. Can anybody think about anything? I think he's kind of laid out everything in the posts, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I'm personally just looking. I really am interested to see if we go like a whole 12 months from now, like next Christmas, how much different the game's gonna be. Probably in ways we can't even think of yet.
I do have one question. I know you can't tell us a bunch, which is totally reasonable. But have you begun planning for anything in the new year that you just as yourself are like, if I were a player or even as the producer, I'm super duper excited for this particular thing to happen? I know you can't tell us about it, but like, is there something that you are like, I cannot wait until we get to the point that we can drop this?
Yes.
Nice.
Very good. I think that's a good
That's perfect.
yeah, I think that that's
Yeah.
a good indicator when somebody sounds that excited about something that they're gonna drop. Yeah, then you get hype about it.
Yeah, Ictinus, they're asking scones or biscuits.
That depends on whether we're talking about actual scones and biscuits or the American
No,
whatever
What are you
they
trying to
happen
say
to
here?
be.
scones and
I've only
biscuits.
had the American sort, so
Oh gosh.
I can't specify.
British scones by far,
Scones, yes.
with clotted cream and strawberry jam,
Strawberry jam, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
and tea, of course.
Of course.
Oh
With a
my
dash of
gosh.
milk and some lemon.
No, milk and sugar, obviously.
Oh, good.
Classic British
British.
tea.
Durif is shaking his head.
There was a couple things that the other day me and Nick Tennis were talking about in DMs on Thursday, I think, because we were kind of talking about what we wanted to talk about here and potentially not talk about. But like there was some interesting things we talked about that I think would be worth talking about on the stream. Like for example, like how long do you think it's going to be before you get to really do the things like just focus on like doing new things and not having to fix the mistakes of the past? Like how long do you think that that's going to take? Do you have any kind of timeline for any of that? Like where how long do you think it'll take before you get Aetolia to where you can like focus on doing 100% of stuff you all want to do instead of trying to fix things from the past?
I think 2022 should be like pretty much it. Like once we're by this time next year, we should be pretty much cleaned up and only focusing on new things. And I know we'll have 2 more sets of mirror classes to do, but I think that'll be like the last outstanding project that hasn't been cleaned up, caught up, fixed, changed in some way. But I'm also fairly certain by then the list will be 3 times as long as it is now.
Yep. Yep. I just find that stuff fascinating because, like, like we talked about, you've been doing a lot of like fixing things on the game, and like I'd said to him on Thursday, it's like, are we ever going to get to where you can just do the things that you're passionate about, or are you always going to be fixing old mistakes? I mean, I don't know. I hope
I think
so.
there's enough systems and things in the game to where there's probably room for permanent improvement forever. But in terms of like focused cleanup, finish, fix, I'd say we're probably going to be there by the end of this coming year.
That's
Plus,
great.
Nice.
there's a
That is
slew. There is a slew of brand new stuff that wasn't even conceived like 4 months ago coming in 2022 as well. So it's not entirely like legacy, but
That's exciting.
the last 4 months has been primarily focused on getting the ship righted, as it were, house
Yeah.
in order. But we still found like 6 weeks to do a big story event, which I'm really happy about. I don't know whether you consider that part of the cleanup, but I think some of you would.
Right. Yeah, having a big story event to begin with is kind of righting the ship, to be honest. So, and of course, Durif asks, "Can we fix cryptic chests?"
Yeah, chests are one of the 2 or 3 remaining promos that I haven't got around to completely fixing yet, but they will be fixed.
Is it possible that the prize bags that are sold in Esteport might be looked at as well?
Those are on the list as well.
Good.
Yeah. As somebody that had an insane amount of gold before the 2 auctions, those prize bags are so awful that I would never consider
Yeah.
buying them.
No, they're just not even close to worth it.
How do you feel about gift bags? Like that whole promo?
That is an excellent and prophetic question.
You don't say.
On which I'm going to take the 5th, I think, for a few days.
That's fair.
Sounds
That's
fair.
fair. Yeah.
But I can
Uh,
say I've made a habit of going through every promo type, and I feel that most of them under my predecessor were not as rewarding as they should be,
Yep.
and calculated in some questionable ways. So basically, everything is on the table to be overhauled or reviewed at minimum.
Yeah, as somebody who bought a stocking last year and got nothing but pills in it, I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate the way that stockings are done now.
Yeah, they've been great. I was
Pills are
finally able to.
useful. An iterator. It's not as useful.
I was finally able to get some people back for stockings this year, and I felt a lot better about it because I was pretty confident they were going to get at least something neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really quite perturbed when I looked at the stockings at first and saw that there was quite a high chance of getting like 20 chocolates or something in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever are looking for a way to just give Balrog flashbacks, mention how many chocolates he got out of stockings. I think it was last year.
Yeah, I've seen the forum thread when I was researching.
See, at the time though, he could have made good money selling those to Riot because he still buys chocolates at the wazoo.
Yeah.
I think Riot
The-
had like
the-
too
the-
many at that point.
Did he? Even Riot, damn.
The aim should always be that buying straight credits shouldn't be more worthwhile.
Then a stocking, yeah, because it's kind of a
Like,
gambling thing.
The whole
Yeah.
point, well, not so much the gamble, but more that the point of having a monthly promotion is that it's better than what you can just pick up every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So
That
will
makes
be that's going to hopefully be a consistent standard moving forward. Like we've already done it with the wheel, done it with
Yeah.
stocking now. We'll be doing the same with gift bags, chests, and all the other different types as and when they come up.
Right. I'm sure
Sounds
we're gonna
good.
have the promo in February that we always have with the arrows and stuff. That'll be fun.
Oh,
Shooting
people
each other
love
with
that one.
arrows. Yeah.
I think they love it more just because you get to irritate people.
Right.
Go around and shoot people with arrows. I mean, I did it out of love.
Exactly.
One of my favorites was when it was first like the first time I ever dealt with that promo, I would have because people would just shoot anybody.
Yeah.
So I would have somebody all of a sudden appear in my tavern, like out of phase or whatever, and it would be somebody that I'd expect to come and kill me. So I'd get ready, and then they'd just shoot me with one of these things and leave.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I did that too. I ran into a Norian and shot people, and then I just left. I didn't get enemy that time.
That time. So for anybody who's just listening to us in another window, I started a giveaway for the first stocking. We're gonna be doing 5 of these throughout this stream. I have an anonymous donator who I'll give the winners' names to, and they will anonymously hang stockings for them. Also, if you win one, I would appreciate it if you didn't enter the next one so that we get 5 different winners. I think that would be fair. So, but everybody can enter. Even Ictennis could enter if he wanted to.
That sounds like a challenge.
Are you able to hang a stocking for
For a
someone in the
Solani?
polls?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Yes, you should ask Paul Wyatt about having 500 stockings hung for him.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Good times.
The real question
Oh
is
my
how
God.
many death gem pieces are in those stockings
Oh my
somewhere.
god, please. No more death
Wyatt
gems.
has 10 death gems and is ready to use them on everyone.
Wyatt is a death gem.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to know how many coffers I threw away while testing.
Oh god.
God.
Oh, just hearing those words in a sentence makes my heart hurt.
Listen, the only reason it hurts me is because I want to sell those and make a custom pet.
Oh lord. But yeah, the promos have been great. Everything's been great. There hasn't really been, any missteps that I can think of, and that's not me trying to be like super nice or anything, but things have
Yeah, no,
really
it's been
been
great.
turned around, and like I told you the other day, a lot of people have a lot of real concern that you might burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say to that? Like, have you been taking care of yourself? Like, are you aware of that? Like, how do you feel about that?
I'm fine, mostly. I've taken a couple of days off this week and a couple of days last week. Ready to
Good.
start the new year.
Okay.
Good, definitely important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think January is obviously a bit of an exception because, well, I've been saying that every month. This month is
Right.
an exception because it's Christmas, because it's birthday, because we're in an event. So maybe this is just the new normal. But yeah, I think the pace is always going to be pretty fast and high. With January being year 500, we've gone a bit over the top, maybe, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's year 500, so
It's a big
Special.
big milestone, no pun intended.
Ugh.
What? I said no pun intended.
You live in Norian. You don't get to groan at puns. They're all over.
Listen, I'm the king of puns
Hey.
in Anorian.
Here's the thing. I'm not making them.
Bit.
Oh, God, the beacon bits.
Listen. I
Just criminal.
I will admit that I knowingly set that whole thing up for like 5 to 10 minutes last week. That was completely intentional. And only Rosani figured it out before it happened.
Yeah.
Beacon bits are the best. Okay. So, we could move on to the next topic until we get some more questions. So we did talk about the duel a little bit already, so do we want to get into the war a little bit, like the follow up and post-war stuff? And
I honestly think most everything I have to say about the war I put up in Karak's thread
Right.
pretty recently.
It was good to have that thread up because I think it will help a lot.
Yeah, I think most people are in agreement one way or another. I wouldn't say all, but I would say most people are in agreement that there needs to be some mechanics moving forward. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Yeah. Nobody's saying anything. Did my stream crash? Are you all there? Are you alive?
No.
No, we're here.
Just
I
thinking?
didn't know that this thread was even up, so I went over to it
Oh,
to give
okay.
it a peek.
I got you.
Yeah.
Which one?
The post-war thread.
Yeah.
Whew.
Is this going to be one of those things that I shouldn't read if I want to have a good day?
No, it's not.
No,
No,
it's-
Okay.
it's
You can't
fairly
read it.
civil.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really most people
That's good.
agreeing, but like in their own way, essentially.
That's good. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Giving some good ideas and good pointers to people. So keeping it civil.
That's good. I like to hear that. I like to hear that.
And then somehow I almost started a war again today. Obviously, we talked about that.
Yeah,
a little
we're
bit.
talking about that right now. Actually,
Bring
people have
it.
already brought it up. I would appreciate if you avoided a war
Listen.
until we had an actual system to work with.
Listen, Christmas is over.
There was a system.
I didn't mean to kill Wirian as he was proposing on Christmas Day.
Well, I mean, you did it.
I did it. Yep, I did. I ruined Christmas. I am Krampus. But I really enjoyed all the food I ate yesterday on Christmas with my family. So, oh no, Yaku left.
Hates us.
He did not
Tired
want to
of
be in the
us.
same voice chat as Krampus, apparently.
Tired of us. Just so sick of us.
May we never know peas. I don't like peas either. Peas are gross.
Yeah, just to reiterate what I said earlier, I think we're all very aware that we need some objectives for war.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that will be helpful, and I also think it's true that like not every inner city conflict is going to necessitate war. Like, we could just raid each other if we feel like, having conflict that way. It doesn't necessarily have to become war. But I think it'll be good for things like this where there was very clearly like there was a purpose to the war. It wasn't just, well, we hate you anyway. So, although
Speaking of
sometimes
raiding, did you know, and I think this is a very little known piece of information, that anyone can call for help inside a city and call the guards away?
Yes.
Even
Huh.
an enemy city?
An
Yes.
enemy.
I did not know that.
well,
Well then,
isn't that interesting?
thanks for that.
I trust you all to be responsible with this information.
I have phase. I'm never going to be
Especially
responsible for
ISIS.
information.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We're putting a lot of faith into that guy.
It's so interesting to me because it's like the things he does, like it how do I word this? Rasani has more than once said, "Hey, just because he's a bastard doesn't mean he's incapable of being correct. Sometimes he is right, but oftentimes he's a dick.
It's just a bastard. Yeah.
Hi, I
He's
just got
just a
reconnected.
bastard,
Sorry.
man. Yeah."
It's okay, Yaku. I thought you hated me being Krampus and were disgusted and left, but I'm glad that wasn't.
Oh
the case.
no, I don't even know what was being discussed when I got kicked out. I had a 5-second power outage.
Ooh.
Eric's
So-
ruining a marriage proposal on Christmas was what
Yeah.
was being discussed.
Oh yeah, that is pretty classy.
And listen,
Shit, damn.
man. Listen, I had noon buff. I couldn't waste it. So, it is what it is. What? He's not wrong, just an asshole. Man, that's harsh. Probably not wrong, though. It's okay. And of course, Alayla says, Ectennis, please consider giving us a rating system that's not just bashing guards until we get tired. I think that was something Ikea had that was much better than Aetolia.
I will say it seemed like absolutely nobody on either side really wanted to do guard bashing, so I'm super glad the war didn't just turn into that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about a formal rating system. I think it sounds better than it is in practice, and Akea's system is a bit tired and outdated too.
Empyreans is too. Like they have an official raid system with like objectives and everything, and it doesn't really do a lot except tell you who's really on top, because they just go and take all the objectives when they become the top dog.
Right. Almost everyone I know that plays Akea prefers out of city conflict because of the raid system. But yeah, it's not completely off the table. It's just not something that I think is a priority at the moment.
Right.
That's very fair.
I'd rather focus on war objectives, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely can see the I will say that I was although I suppose Bloodluck would probably disagree. Because there was a lot of talk in the forums that was like, hey, so Spirit side escalated. And we did. We escalated pretty much everything that was thrown at us. Which I think is sort of expected when it comes to war. But I also think that I don't at least all the times I was in Spirit Web, the objective was never let's just go keep bashing their guards because they've replaced them by now. I think that raiding only happened when it made sense to do it, which I think is you can't always hold everybody to that kind of standard because everybody has a different idea of what necessitates raiding. But I think that I honestly, as a community, I think we handled this war pretty well. Like nobody, I don't feel went over the top, and I think that that's something that we as a community should be pretty proud of.
Yeah, the only time I got to go and kill guards with everyone was when Benedicto came back and we were celebrating or something. he wanted to do it, so we did.
Yeah.
Which was still kind of fun. I'd never got to do that yet on Aetolia.
Listen, I'll follow the fish man into hell.
That's right.
I'll do whatever Benedicto asks me.
Ocean Man himself. The great Honorian steamroll, as Nipsey puts it in chat. It was something. But yeah, somebody said in chat needed war milestones. I think that's a good point. I would love to see more like maybe even like temporary milestones that happen based on like what's going on in the game currently. I think that would be a cool thing.
I would say my biggest concern was I do not want wars to be started just so that people can get milestones. And that is what I think it would turn into. Like we saw it with sermons. They bumped sermons down to 1 milestone because people were only hosting them to get milestones when it was
Yeah.
clearly made to be a role play event. So my concern would be that people would start declaring war just because declaring war is worth like 5 milestones. And I don't know. I think
That would just be so bad.
yeah, it would just be a
I
pain
think
in the ass.
I'm not sure what sort of credit stockpiles the cities are sitting on, but I think maybe something that could be considered as like something organizations can do for since if you're in the militia, going to do your milestones isn't exactly safe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think depending on how well off the city is, they could consider being like, hey, you participated in X, Y, and Z. You get like a minor credit reward because obviously you're sacrificing the ability to go beat up Telemarius for the 50th time.
Right.
Things like that. I think that might be a nice compromise because that way you're not getting the mechanical incentive to declare war. Like the hey, if you declare war, it's a daily double. But there's still a way that you're not setting yourself back by involving yourself in the war. And I mean, obviously, to some extent, you should play your character. Aku was involved in the war because Aku, as a character, would be involved in the war. And I just
Absolutely.
kind of accepted I was not going to get the milestones I usually do.
Yeah.
I know Kalina hasn't brought up credits, but has said that she was planning something for Templar who were involved in the war. Like for people who were not knighted yet, she was letting war conflicts count towards
Yeah.
like doing your lessers and your majors and that kind of thing towards your progression. Apparently, something else will be happening for knights proper. But I think that those kinds of incentives are not bad. I don't think it would be terrible to have. I would probably do city points instead of
Right.
just outright credits myself, just because you don't really know because you can use milestones for room credits too. So it's one of those things where you don't really know if they're going to go for regular credits or if they were going to do room credits or whatever. But it's
Yeah, I think that. Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's important to note that, like, because of this war, being in the militia went from meaning very little to meaning more than anything in like a day. Like so. It's kind of wild because like there's never been a lot of incentive, at least the past couple years, to really have like something related to war and militia. Like there's been at least 3 revamps of our militia and Honorian that I know of since I started playing this character. So it's like, I don't know, it's like one of those things where it's like, if we had the foresight and knew that war was going to be coming, maybe we could have set something up. But now that we know it might come again in the future, definitely probably worth looking into in character, setting things up like that. But yeah, in general, I don't even know what the hell the militia's for, other than to just denote that you're a combatant. Because like, I don't know.
It means I get saluted by guards when I walk into
Yeah,
rooms
I
now
don't-
sometimes. That's pretty
I've
nice.
been at the
I
same
like that.
militia rank for like 1.5 to 2 years, so I don't even know what the hell it means in the context of anything. So
well, you only stay at the same militia rank if you don't do the militia things.
I tried to do the militia things recently, and they told me that they were getting revamped, so I couldn't do the militia things.
Well, I don't know. I've been at
So-
the highest point in the militia that I could be in for ages now. So
But
I'm
like,
not
it doesn't
sure.
even really mean anything, though. Is what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
I mean, nothing. It's a text game. Nothing means anything unless you make it mean something.
Damn, that was
guess.
deep.
Damn.
Well, I mean, that's the reality of it. I hear a lot of stuff where people are like, "Well, this doesn't really mean anything." It's like none of it really means anything unless you ascribe meaning to it. You give it your own meaning. Like Rasani feels that being in the militia is important because it's her city and she should defend her city. You give these things the meaning when you decide how to incorporate them into your character.
Mm.
Like being in the order doesn't mean anything. You don't get anything for it. It just means something to your character because you're playing your character that way.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, mechanically, it doesn't mean anything, is what I meant.
It actually, I will say it does, because let me tell you how annoying it was to try and move guards when I was a lower ranked than the person who, move troops when I was a lower ranked than the person that they currently listen to. And I think this actually got changed, which, thank you, by the way. But you had to run all the way into the barracks and reassign them from the barracks, but then also apparently at some point they might have had to be in the barracks, but I can't walk them to the barracks because they don't listen to me. So ultimately, whenever it came to something like that, I would just be like, "Hey, Valerie, this is yours. Enjoy. I can't help."
Yeah, we watched a few situations like that playing out where people were having to temporarily promote people, then swap their commands around, and just seemed a bit absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I had to aid a bunch of people to security. Who I had assumed they had already been aided, but didn't realize that apparently you clear your aids when you're put into a position. But two, otherwise they couldn't do anything with the security of the city. So there's a few things that were a little bit interesting, particularly if you are like I had to aid a herald. It's like a herald should be able to do these things anyway.
Right.
Even if they're not aided to me, they're a leader of the city. They should be able to do it. But, what can you do?
You were rather surprised that I had never been aided to security either.
Right, because I thought you had been by the previous security minister, but I guess
No.
not. So,
Well, I've never been aided to security ever. The whole time I've
Oh,
had the
well.
character, actually. Well, other than when I was Herald for a little while. But yeah, I don't know. I just never sought it out. I figured there was other people to do that stuff, but it's good to have more people that do it too. So also for the stocking giveaway, number 2 is up for anybody again that's listening in another window. Type exclamation ticket. There's only 6 people that have entered this one. 15 entered the last one, so figure there's some of you that haven't yet. Oh, there we go. So, Ictennis, is there anything I know you didn't want to talk about spoilers, and I don't want you to talk about spoilers, but is there anything you haven't mentioned recently in any post or anything that you want to give us some kind of insight into or talk about or anything?
That is a good question. I think I tend to post about most things that we're either working on or that we want to be known about in advance.
Okay. I just
Like
didn't
we are working on some things that people won't and can't know about beforehand. Going back to what Rasani asked me earlier, to which my answer was just a resounding yes.
Yeah.
which is good enough for me, frankly.
Kind of like going back to what we said about ships, where we had no idea as players that was coming at all, and then it just got dropped. I imagine there's probably more stuff like that in the future.
The experience wasn't too far dissimilar for us either.
Yeah, not knowing is good, like Nipsey said in chat. Also,
Let's do
Zavin,
something with a ship, and then it turned into
yeah,
the Dawnbreaker.
When it when it comes to like deities or like god rules in general, giving people like shoves in a direction or orgs and shoves in a direction, like what Hearn did, and I guess what Ome did for Spirit recently. Do you want to see more of that, less of that? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Definitely more. I'm a huge enabler, which hopefully my Solani will corroborate. I think the difficulty is people tend to take it as an admin edict, whereas it's just an in-character role making a suggestion or expressing their opinion. So more of it hopefully will shift people away from that impression.
We had a little bit of that with the Ome dreams for Norian and that sort of thing. I personally thought they were great. It was particularly with how the event went and like I don't know, I just really loved it. Because sometimes those kinds of things, those kinds of like visions or whatever, they if you're having trouble trying to find the direction to put your character in, they give you a sense of direction suddenly, and that's very nice. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that I hope that the occasional pushback against it from some people does not scare that Solani off from doing more of it, because it was really cool.
Yeah, I think the best way to interpret those things are just as RP opportunities that you're being served up a plot thread. You can choose to either engage with it or not and take it from there. It shouldn't be viewed as though this is an order from the admin. We have to get in line,
Yeah, absolutely.
which it does tend to be quite often. That might just be a symptom of it not happening very often before recently, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just as an example, I was there, I think, when Heron suggested putting troops on the monolith, and then, like, I think pretty much immediately after he clarified in character, he was like, that's a suggestion, that's an idea I have. Like, you don't have to do it, but something needs to be done about them, right? And obviously, his suggestion is what in character Dwayne went with. But
Yep.
I do think it was a suggestion. It was pretty
Yeah,
explicitly.
I don't think you should be afraid to say no. I think is the main point
Yeah.
there. Like the god may be upset in character, but like the Solani behind the god or the admin are not going to be upset because you decided not to do exactly what they told you.
I think in that case it was Heron giving some characters the ammunition to do some things that they had kind of wanted to do for a while. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't play everyone involved, obviously, but just
That-
from my perspective.
Yeah, that seems to have been the case for Durin in general when it comes to Heron.
I tend to think as well that the most effective god players tend to be the types that do meddle and get involved a bit in that sort of thing.
Yes. Love that.
Metal.
Meddling.
Yeah, I love the
Good word for it.
instigating.
I do too. I love the. It's. I think that it's. Mr. Brooks is right. Is that like in as much as like when you're playing D&D, your DM is still a player, and I think that people need to remember that the gods are really just players too. Like we're all trying to collectively, you know, engage in a story, and it's I don't know. People sometimes take things a little too personally, and they don't need to. And I think I think it'll be good for everybody to just remember that you don't have to treat a god RPing with you any different, really, than anybody else RPing with you. Sure, you might get zapped if you piss off a god, whereas but that's the same of anybody. Somebody might try to kill you if you piss them off anyway. So it really is just the same. As with anything, like with the militia, it only has the power that you attribute to it.
Right, and there still may be some in-character consequences if you upset your god by not doing what they think you should be doing. But but being able to separate that from an admin intervention is really important, I think.
Agreed.
Yep. I
Imagine that
go
like
ahead.
I imagine that like actual admin intervention would come from you, as opposed to like an NPC or like someone that a player character is supposed to think about their relationship with on like a role play level. And like that tends to be how I differentiate it.
Yeah, I mostly agree. Like, if there's something that's so bad that it needs an admin to step in and smack something down, then it's not going to be the in-character god doing that most of the time. But I think those situations are far rarer than people think they are.
Yeah. Which is good. But yeah, I just wonder how, because like, my order's small that I'm in, and my god's not very active right now, and I just wonder how they would feel about me killing someone when they're proposing. Maybe I'll find out someday. It's been pretty.
Dad Mario's gonna put you in timeout.
Probably. Oh,
He's
boy.
undead. He doesn't. It doesn't matter what you do to him.
Oh,
Just
I
to
see.
elaborate a bit on that, since Chaos Squid, I'm not sure who that is in the chat,
Zavin.
just commenting that it has come from gods in the past. I think the important difference is like an out of character versus in character situation. Like, it's almost never going to be a situation so dire that I personally have to come and intervene. In which case, if a god is getting involved, then you should treat it as in character.
Unless Nipsey shouts.
Right.
Well, yes.
Oh, look at that. Look at what Nipsey said in chat.
And you can kill each other. How romantic.
That's beautiful.
It's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I mean,
if I would, oh, we have an ad, so I'll give
okay.
it a hot second. This guy with his bad tie. Tie your tie correctly, sir.
Oh, it's a Hawkeye ad.
I've got someone like working out by a gaming PC.
Nice.
I don't know.
Whenever I see people who have these, like, I feel like most people aren't taught how to tie ties correctly because it looks bad. It's like, and I think it's the way that most people are taught to tie ties, but it's kind of askew and the triangle's too small. Anyway,
I've never worn a tie in my life, Rosani.
you should. I know a few different knots that are nice.
Okay.
I just don't find ties very comfortable, to be honest.
Oh no, they're super uncomfortable.
I've worn ties a few times when I've been working.
Yeah.
I worked as a cab driver, and as part of the uniform, you could either choose to have a tie or you could, as a woman, choose to have a scarf around your neck. And I just thought that one looked silly, so I ignored that one and chose the tie instead. Way more comfortable than having a scarf. So
To Yaza, who I think is a Layla, I do have strong tie opinions. I've had several jobs where I've had to wear a tie, so I learned how to tie knots in a lot of different ways. And I used to have to fix pretty much every man I worked with's tie. It's a dyke thing. I don't know. But on the topic of Zavin saying that gods and NPCs have come in before,
Mm-hmm.
the one I can remember the most is Durin, and I think that came in because it was a total rework of the way that city functioned. And you couldn't really justify doing that without explaining with roleplay why this was happening. So the Sentinel lost control of their guild entirely for a while. They didn't have a guild master, and NPC was their guild master. And the only way to explain that is to have roleplay happen. Anorian hasn't gotten it while I've played, to my knowledge. Hasn't gotten like NPC intervention on behalf of anything that we've done in that sort of way. Bloodlock had it happen recently. Aberash did something. But usually when it's something that needs fixing, the admin do it as this is the in-character reason you have to explain why this is happening, but they also talk to them out of character. I know the Sentinels had to have a lot of conversations with, I think Razmail was in charge at the time, and come in and be like, look, the shit you're doing here is not good, so it has to stop. I can't remember a time when Anorian had anything like that happen. We had NPCs who said that, but it was always very clearly like part of an event. Like we had a race war that happened, like a riot, and a NPC said that we were doing every single thing wrong, but that was the opinion of that NPC. It wasn't like admin telling us we were doing something wrong.
I think one of the things that Enorian was involved in, but that was both Enorian and Duran, was the frontline plan. That was admin run that while.
The
I
front line
vaguely remember that one. Yeah.
frontline. Now I'll be
Oof.
honest. This is probably something I don't know exactly what happened that made them crack down on frontline.
Yeah, but
My understanding is it was always an admin run thing, and
no,
that's fine. That's whatever.
it was not. It was
Um,
the same like Bloodlock. Spines Reach has a clan for organizing lessers and everything, and it was uh, and not an admin run thing, and it was turned into an admin run thing because of I think it was toxicity discussions. Yeah,
now
and
I will
yeah,
say this. But when I say I don't know what it was that happened, somebody's saying that people were getting too spicy. I was perhaps not part of those conversations. It might have happened while I was taking a break from Atolia or whatever. Um, Two people specifically got into it real hard and we didn't enforce the rules. Okay.
yeah,
What I will say about the frontline situation is one, I mean, we are now sitting here, frontline is there's still a little bit of chatter, but we have like a sideline sort of clan where we actually just shit post. Which is fine. But I will say, and I said it at the time that I found out this had happened, as a player who tried to be on Shadow before and was promptly called a faggot while playing on Shadow side, I do think it was I do think it was very strange to me that they came down on frontline, but did not come down on that kind of toxic behavior that had happened. My understanding now, before anybody gets upset about it, is that Shadow itself is working on making their community kinder to people, which I think is spectacular. I think it's really great that the people who, because, while the game encourages this like tribalism of us versus them, we're all playing a game together to tell a story together. So I think it's fantastic that the community is making it a nicer community to be in. But I will say that at the time that the frontline thing happened, I found it pretty bizarre that that kind of stuff was still able to go on. But we also had stuff apparently. Again, I didn't see any of the particularly bad things in frontline. But you know,
no,
I do think that
mine
it's
it was spicy to say the least. So it's just that, as some people say in the chat, saying that it is better now when the things have changed. So that's good. And I mean, yes, Shadow is working on making sure that things are better, language is better, and that we treat each other right. In that case, admin had to step in some way, and it made it better. So I think in general, it's good that things are moving in the right direction.
I agree 100%. I will say that, and I actually had this conversation with somebody who plays about how a lot of people are like, well, you can't hang on to things that happened a long time ago, and it's like that's fair, but some things hit you different. So when people are like, well, why do you assume that bad actors are going to come in and ruin this war? It's like, well, because I have a long history of, as a player, being treated poorly by players that are still active on the side that we're fighting against. But I think it's also important they were right, is that you can't hang on to those things forever. But I do think it's rational for people to understand, like, I guess, to be patient, because I'm learning now to kind of let go of some of these bad things that were done to me, and see all the good positive changes that are being made. But I do think that requires a bit of patience. So like people being like, "Well, you need to get over it," is a little um
It's not
belittling.
helpful.
It's not helpful. Yes, it kind of diminishes the patronizing. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much, Chaos Squid. Um, but I do think that there is truth in both things. It's one, yes, you're totally allowed to be hurt by something that happened to you in this community, but there is also like you have to look at the good change that is happening and be like, okay, well things are heading on the right track.
And
Yep.
cannot generalize either, because just because one person does a bad thing, it doesn't mean everyone else on that tether or from that city or that guild will do the same.
Yeah.
Correct, but I will say
Yeah.
that trust has to be re-earned because nobody said that it was wrong to him when he did it to me.
If they weren't around, it's not
No,
something.
absolutely. It's the same thing with me in Frontline. If I didn't see these bad things on
You
Frontline,
cannot generalize if someone from Shadow or if someone from a specific org says something that is bad, you cannot generalize and say that everyone on Shadow is bad because they didn't stop it, because they might not have heard it. They might not have been there. They might have tried but were drowned out. So, in general, being a bit more open-minded in that sense doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. And I'm not trying to be patronizing in this case and trying to diminish anyone's feelings of being hurt. I'm just saying keep in mind that everyone's not around 24/7.
of course not. It's the same thing with Frontline. You got people who logged on and suddenly Frontline had this big thing where it was admin controlled suddenly.
Yeah.
So not everybody was still there. You know what I mean? But I will say that like it's one of those things where it's not rational, but it is part of the human experience, where emotions aren't always rational, and you get this heckles up kind of thing of like, okay, somebody from over there hurt me, so I'm now defensive. It's not always right, but it is something that sometimes happens. But you have to have the sense of mind to go, well, not everybody's going to be like that. Is kind of the point that I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that I think it's important to note, and this is not to belittle anything that happened to anyone in particular, but I think that almost everyone has had a moment in these games where they like something bad like that's happened to them. I'm no different. That's why I retired my shadow character. Like I just was tired of dealing with it, and I just pieced out from the game because of it. Um, but I think that it's also part of improving as a person and a player is trying to find the way to move past it and let it be in the past. Um, and I learned a lot about that with in character stuff when I came back, letting it be in the past. But I still always think about those things too, Rosani. I don't blame you. I just think that you got to have some balance. Like I don't know. People can change, so can organizations, all kinds of things. What happened was clearly awful, but
Oh, of course. Like I said, it's great that the community as a whole is enacting this change. Like we're
yeah,
not depending on the admin to enact this change. I will say that like sometimes I do think admin could like in the past I think admin could have been more proactive about trying to keep that stuff from happening. However, the community as a whole is now policing itself, which is better in the long run because
yeah,
admin, much like all of us, can't be everywhere at once.
yep,
So,
We do also have a zero tolerance policy for that sort of language, which I, at least, am more than willing to enforce.
which is great.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, I mean, I see a little bit of this and have heard a little bit of it and everything, but I think the best part to focus on, at least from the perspective of like right now, is it has improved massively on both ends of the game, I would say.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
is it perfect? No, but nothing is. And just the fact that the community has worked so hard to improve, I think, is a big point in its favor.
Yep.
100%.
What are you making over there, Yaku? Was that your microwave going off?
It is mine. I'm not making anything
Oh,
though, so I'm
okay.
not sure.
The ghost that lives with him is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Maybe it was his
The
cat
kitten.
making something. Yeah.
No, she's curled up under the monitor, hanging out. So
Aw.
And here it's the witching hour, so that means that my cats are running around like crazy.
Here's a random question I have for Tennis, because I don't know if it's been answered yet. So I know that you all mentioned that you intend to do 2 sets of mirror classes a year, right? So
Yeah, that's the plan. 4 classes altogether.
right. So do you have a set month when you intend to start that regularly, or is it just going to be whenever it gets done?
We have a target month for the release, which we try and work backwards from to figure out when to start and how long it takes and whatnot. But
Okay.
this next set that we'll be working on doesn't have either at the moment, as we've just recently been putting the 22
Right.
calendar together. But once this next set is out, we'll probably have a better idea of when the following set will be. And I'd imagine there'd be quite a few months in between them.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, I wonder if it's like gonna be like, one in March and then one in September or something like that, or if it's gonna be just whenever you get the first one done and all that. But
Yeah, we have the target, just not a hard date or anything yet.
right. And how does having a new neutral class change that, if at all? Like, you don't have to say anything about what that's gonna be, but like, does that like throw a wrench into that? Was that planned ahead of time before you made that announcement, or?
Yeah, the neutral shouldn't have much of an impact on the mirrors, in theory,
Gotcha.
since it was already being worked on before Earthcaller and Ironmancer came out.
Okay, cool. So, Wyatt has redeemed Use My Topic and asks, what type of new town theme would you like to see in Aetolia? Are you talking about like little side villages? Are you talking about like the main cities? Like, what do you mean exactly?
Pirate Town. Pirate Town.
I was actually going to say Pirate Town because I know Wyatt badly wants a Pirate Town too.
Nice.
I too want a Pirate Town. Are you kidding? That would kick ass. A Pirate Town in a swashbuckler class. Like, fuck yeah.
you could do a pirate town mixed with a western town. Pirates and cowboys.
Oh.
I would have said
I'm gonna
city
go
if I
check what
meant
that
city.
beeping is.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure we're clear on what we're discussing. New town theme. When I think of town, I immediately think of towns from Empyrean, and Isid will know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the towns we
Yeah.
have here, but they're
Yeah.
associated with cities.
Yeah, they're more called villages here, I would say.
Yeah.
It's
I would like
connected
it.
the Empyrean towns are though, because it's not really the same, I think. I mean, we have some, but it's more like, okay, so we are protecting Enorian is protecting Yaru and Tynehelm and Torsten, but it's not like a town like they have in Empyrean in that sense.
Yeah, I actually like the town system really well from Empyrean. I think it was sweet having governors and stuff like that. But on the topic of like additional new town themes, I guess a pirate town would be cool, but I could also see Esterport just being turned into a pirate town. I think that would be kind of cool.
I think it would be good in general if the villages were given their own sort of feel to them. I think we've talked about this before, where you sort of get some kind of regional addition to what kind of whole food culture they have in that city, so that you can add that one into your RP if you are from that region, for example.
Yeah. Go ahead, Isid.
Whatever town it is, I just hope it's one where I can get the peppercorns I asked Baku for ages ago. That's really my only requirement.
I actually had a great idea. They should finally make a town that draws on certain aspects of medieval Japan and give Benedicto his katanas.
Yep, absolutely.
So funny story. We have had a couple of players that have come through that want katanas, but it's not something that fits within the setting. So they will make long swords that are like single edged or multi-folded or all that sort of thing. But you just can't call them katanas. So you can do it. Somebody's also made sushi, which you can't call it. And like all the stuff that comes up. That is to say that Benedicto is welcome to have katanas whenever he wants. He just can't call them that.
He
Oh my God.
spent a class lead slot asking for katana proficiency.
Yep.
Benedicto, just why? Just make a single-edged longsword.
Oh man. Just to
The
remind
joy of that
everybody.
craft, you can actually basically do whatever you want to in the game, just using different words.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a bowler hat, but it's not called a bowler hat. So, I mean, yes, you have a fedora, but I would never make a fedora. I would make a hat design and make it look like a fedora, maybe, but I would never use the fedora uh, template because I
Right.
don't like that word. It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit the. Yeah, I gotcha.
It's the same with a lot of those things. I don't feel like they fit into Itolia for me, so I would never make that thing and use that design, but I can make an item from the base design and make it look like the thing I want. And I think that some of the additions in the crafting system where you've added different design identity names, I feel like it would probably be better to just remove some of them and let
People get
people use
real
them.
mad when you try to remove designs, is what I've learned.
Yeah, but at the same time, it feels like it would probably make the immersion better in some way. And
I agree.
it feels like people walking around in pinstripe suits with fedoras is perhaps not Itolia in that sense. At least not for me. It might be for someone else, and I would probably, I can make a pinstripe suit for anyone who wants it in the game, but for me, I would never have my character walk around in it in this kind of setting.
I just remembered, actually, I was always told that was actually exactly how Magak used to dress.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Cigar,
pinstripe suit,
everything.
fedora,
So,
cigar.
yep.
It's an interesting aesthetic that. Well, my understanding is before I joined that you used to be able to make like T-shirts with like slogans on them.
You can't
Yeah,
do
And
that
like
anymore? I was
No,
going to.
no,
Oh,
They removed that. I
that
think that they
sucks.
actually that was one of those things that they deleted.
Man.
yeah, they removed that. I know we have here. Okay, you know what? I'm actually coming around on the katana because we have kimonos.
Okay.
Yeah,
If we have one, you should be able to have the other.
yeah, but
You know what? You've convinced me. Okay.
so, but I mean, think of it. The many things that you have in the game, you could describe a kimono in a different way and say that it's a robe. It's a robe or whatever that you wrap around you
Right.
with a wide belt, or sherwani. It's a long coat. What the hell? Call it
We
long coat with a without a collar. I mean, there are so many things that if you just describe it, people will know what they look like instead of using the name for something because I would have to some of these things if I see them in the wares catalog, will have no idea what this is until I go out and Google it and realize that, oh, it's a long coat. Why didn't they just use a long coat? Then I know what it looks like.
Yeah. Sorry, yes, Wyatt. Sorry, you asked about villages and towns,
Nice.
katanas now. So I'm very pro pirate town, because I think that would be cool, particularly where we have a ship now. I know that the ship was not anticipated, but it does offer a few different methods of role play for us and stuff like that. Pirate town would be cool.
Oh,
I
all
also
this piratey already, isn't it?
I also would kind of like for me I know we have the gnomes that have like a mining town and that kind of thing. I would almost really like a town that has like its commerce built around something that we don't see get a lot of use. I don't know if that makes sense, but like a goblin town. Okay, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Um,
Yes.
but
Goblin
I
town.
would kind of like a town that maybe because like we have lem crystals and stuff like that, for example, where really all we could do is we can make that token for your god that you can use to like uh chain all of the eld around you and something like that. I think it would be really cool if we had a town that had been kind of like reclusive that we could introduce to certain things. And I do not. But I'm gonna
Oh my
first of
God.
all, I'm not talking about some weird tribal thing because that's overplayed and racist. What I do think is we have a lot of towns, like, for example, the Atav, that were so secretive that we barely even knew they existed. And I think that we could have other places like that with the opportunity of creating different. I like anything that gives us the chance to have new commodities to play around with and craft with. So maybe we trade Yelem things to them, and in turn we get new interesting commodities to play with. I know that's not really a theme, but I liked that when you guys opened up the kobolds, we got all those new metals to play with. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things. First off, again, anybody who didn't know, we're still running another stocking giveaway. There's only 6 people that have entered this one. If you're not paying attention to chat, it's exclamation ticket. Secondly, Ictennis, what do you think about katanas, huh? Yes or no? Or is this an Ask Baku thing again?
Sounds like a question for Baku.
Oh, God. Damn it.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not au fait with all of the individual crafting rules and regulations. Although I will say one of the best parts of Iron Realms crafting is seeing the creativity that people come up with to describe things without using their real names,
Yeah.
such as fedoras and kimonos and whatnot.
Yep. And of course, I'm completely down for Wyatt's idea of having a slam town, as we'll call it.
This is not the first time he suggested it.
I don't doubt that he suggested it
I'm
many
not
times.
surprised.
I suspect every time you have a team meeting, he brings it up.
Why? I would suggest trying to add that into Nazeda, because they have a lot of dodgy stuff. They have a knife throwing thing as well, so might be kind of a good thing to toss in there. It would fit the theme, I think.
Yeah.
I do kind of like Rasani's idea as well, to have towns that are kind of specialized in a certain thing or export. You know, like how there's a lot of places in the real world that are only known to people because they have a certain type of fruit or something.
Yeah.
Maine and lobster is what I'm thinking. I'm from Maine, and lobster is the only thing people know us. They're like, "Oh, lobster." And it's like, yeah, whatever.
Just generally knowing the culture of a place, or the food, or the different hairstyle, or this type of clothing is something that is done down in this region, this area, or this village. That would be fun.
Just add a town that is New Vegas from Fallout New Vegas. Just casinos and idiots as far as the eye can see.
Hear me out. A town a town of goblin samurai.
Oh,
You just want goblins.
With
Yes.
katanas, apparently.
and samurai.
With katanas that are too small for anyone to actually use them. because they're
So
Yes,
they're like
exactly.
knives
Yeah.
to us. Yeah.
It's just a new knife design.
Yeah.
Fix.
That would be good. Okay. Now, this is me going off on my rant about how everybody should watch Arcane if you haven't already. I love any city that is kind of like has the top city where it's really nice and like the front face, and then the seedy underbelly. And I don't think we get a ton of like seedy underbellies. Like I know that Esterport kind of has one, and the Templar had like a mini event with that. But I would kind of love a city that was just this like this seedy underbelly where you've got like a thieves guild and you've got like that kind of shit. I think
So you
could be
want
really cool.
you want Ankh Morpork?
I don't know what that
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Ah, Terry Pratchett.
Um, I want like because I think that would give people who are because I hear a lot of Sisson that aren't gilded and aren't in Spine's Reach that just kind of want to be thieves. I think that could be really cool. Shut up, Falela.
Yeah. I was laughing
I
at
think it
that
could be
too.
really cool to have like a place where if they want to be, the game is never going to be neutral. But I think it could be cool to because I ran into somebody recently who wanted to play as a mercenary, where literally people could pay him and he would be part of whatever fight that they. So a place like that would actually be kind of neat.
Yeah. I'm down for anything. I think those are all great ideas. Man, there's so many things we could talk about. What are we going to talk about? Does anybody have any questions for Tennis in chat?
You
Will we-
missed
Will
everything.
we see some more work with factions and stuff like that?
Yeah, the faction thing. I forgot that existed. Factions
Yeah.
come in.
I don't know a whole lot about factions either, to be
But
honest.
there are a lot of factions
But I'm-
that you can try to work with, and I mean, some of them they have very good connections to things like the Epicurean. You can learn how to cook, and you can earn points in that. Golais, the better you get, the more different kinds of merchandise you can get to. There are a few things like the Scroffen tribe that Eric's has pulled up here. You can't do anything with it. The same with the Kith of Torsten. Those are all shapeshifter related. And you can't interact with them because all of those quests and all of those people have not come back from the moot. They have not moved away from there, so none of these quests actually work. It would be kind of neat to have that kind of interaction in, where the shapeshifter groups have their patrons back. You go there and learn how to become a shapeshifter, and you can do some quests.
Yeah, I like the system. I think it's cool and adds a lot of depth to. Like, it makes the organizations in those areas seem a bit more real. So I'm definitely open to doing some more stuff with them.
Yeah,
Once
it
I
could
know
be
more about
nice
the
to
one
get that
already.
kind of thing in there.
Yeah, it's mostly, honestly, in my experience, it's mostly to the average person used for just the vortex and the fishing. Obviously,
Yeah.
the factions in general, they're just not used very much anymore, in my experience. It seems like something that could be used.
The Epicurean one is you actually get some more ingredients you can get.
Yes.
So that one is quite good for anyone who's into cooking. So
They have that. So does the SGS for being able to use DAF and that kind of thing.
yeah,
I would love one for. Okay. I would love a forging competition and or faction.
I'm sure
Because
you would.
forging, I think, gets a lot of practical love in that everybody needs something forged at some point. But there's a lot of artistry that can go into forging that I don't think often gets a chance to kind of be in the limelight. And I love forging, and I think there's a few people I'm pretty sure that like forging.
Yeah, one or two.
One or two who are really into it. Um, and a lot of people, I at the very least have tried twice to run forging competitions, but people I've noticed don't really get involved with events like that unless they feel the admin are paying attention.
Yeah.
I will
Uh,
say, in my defense, I don't think I've been around when you were doing those
No.
competitions.
No, I stopped trying to run them after a certain point. I might try again, maybe, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing an admin run forging competition. I don't know what the prize for that would look like, honestly, because most people who would be way into a forging competition already have a forging hammer. um, but
Complete or something might be nice.
yeah, like, or hell, even like yes, Iron Hill ran some way back in the day. I tried to continue that with the tavern, and I would love to see forging competitions be a thing. Maybe even just like a place where like you display all the winning entries or that kind of thing. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think the Epicurean and derivatives are really fun, so I'm definitely not against having more specialized versions of it.
the
Yeah, I
Epicurean's
loved
my
the.
favorite.
I don't know how many people got to go to the ice sculpting one, but I loved it. It was
I didn't
very
I didn't
fun.
get to go to this one, but I was at one of the first ones they did, and it is a blast. Like any kind of crafting competition like that, I love.
I mean, yes, the forging competition would be hilarious. I mean, it's the same thing for the Iron Epicurean for all the cooks or the chefs in there. But all of them. We've said it before in stream. It would be fantastic if all the different crafting things could get a moment to shine. Tailors, jewelers, anything, just to give them a chance to show that, okay, this is kind of fun. This is neat.
We will be doing a free-form crafting competition throughout January to celebrate 500,
Yeah,
which won't be pigeonholed into a specific type of craft.
Hell yeah,
that's nice.
Excellent.
I'm into that. And yes, Ia said there will be many muscle emotes. Who do you think you're talking to?
Alayla's asking the real questions, in
Huh.
caps, as usual.
That's who she is. She knows what she's about.
Yeah.
No tuxedo hoods, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to disappoint.
A tuxedo hood, as in it would be wearing a tuxedo, or as in you'd look like a penguin?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
I see. Yeah, fair enough.
The
A
will of the
penguin, I
people,
see.
as in just Alayla.
Now here's my question. I don't know if Razmiel is in the chat, but people who have been playing longer, is Razmiel's petition for werecats or cat girls?
Cat girls.
Cat girls, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this Wyatt question too.
Yep. Which Albeidi god would your character join a cult to? Razani has to pick
Has to pick
someone other than Dejani just to see what the pick is.
Damn it!
Well, that means I still get to pick Dejani, so I will.
Dejani is who I would pick 100%, but I will look at the other ones to see.
Here, I'll pull them up too.
You think I
I
can
have
read that small?
I have
Yes.
my answers. It would be Akros or the Walker. Probably the second one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Across feels, yeah, that one feels like something that I could probably see Tiana following.
There are a lot that I'm very curious about, but without knowing more about them, I can't say whether or not
Right.
AK would be into it.
I think I would have to go because of the if I can't be Dejani with light and all that entails. I think I would have to follow fire into Silas the Harlot.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I think I would have to.
Of course.
Either that, or I would go with what's his name, the bull. It would
Garagorn.
either be either
Greg, as we'll
Yeah.
call him.
I think
There's Greg. Greg the
I think
Bull.
I have to steal Isid's answer. The Walker.
the
for
Walker's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The
Yeah.
Walker's super cool.
The Walker's really cool, but Rasani knows about the Walker because her father, Areka, was in contact with the Walker, and there's a lot of I would highly recommend talking in character with Rasani about the Walker because you'll get some interesting conversation. But she doesn't trust him, so but Dejani would be the first choice, but I think I would go with Silas the Harlot secondarily.
Nice.
Which would be funny because Rasani, this very, responsibly dressed, calls everyone Miss and Ma'am and Sir, following somebody called the Harlot, where most of her
Right.
places of worship are in brothels.
Right?
This poor idiot. No, because Yavalamon's mean.
I mean, out of character, I loved Avalamon.
Oh, he's
However-
so cool out of character.
However, I do not think Aku would follow Avalamon. I mean, maybe I could see it happening. I think Avalamon is really cool. Like I said, I love the capital I it gods.
No, the
I think
Walker's
those are
rude
really
as hell.
cool.
Could you pull up Odrop?
Who?
Ooh, Audrey's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, scroll up. Okay.
Yeah.
Audrov is the one that threw down with every god except Severn, who ran away.
Yeah.
It's further up, yeah. That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the helm. It's not very surprising that he could pretty much own the whole pantheon.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if I have been reading it right, but it sounds like Audrov caused lay madness by
Yeah.
fixing the lay back or something. He fixed the planes back to what they were supposed to be per Albetti.
Yeah.
For Albedi, yeah, which means that everything else messed up with the planes in some way, I think.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of goes into that theory that we've had on here before about like all of our gods in our continent are the thing that are out of place in this world, and that the Albedi gods are the real gods and stuff. I think it would
Yeah.
make sense.
God, I do love the Albedi stuff. I recently reread the Mun Holy Book, which was very interesting. And I definitely recommend anybody who's super into the Albedi stuff to give it a read. Because it is good, but also because you'll learn about a great Muna who, when the Ankarians came and demanded all of their jewels and stuff, just some Mun dude who told them to go eat shit. Like just these warmongering, like, god chosen people. He's just like, you know what, go eat shit. And you know what, I respect the hell out of him for that.
Yeah.
I think his name is Had, and I called him Had the Chad.
Oh my god. Yes, you did.
It's awesome. I highly recommend reading that book. It's incredible.
One of the most interesting things for me is how far the Mun from Achaea lore have diverged from
Yeah.
here, but also follow very similar themes of being people, steeped in suffering, but also very proud and not afraid to tell people to go and eat shit, as Rasani says.
I love the Mun. If I had known anything about them when I made Rasani, I might have played a Mun instead. I do love troll lore that people like. I know there wasn't a whole lot of it. It seems like with a lot of the races, the game as it grew created the lore around them, which I think is really cool. But I picked trolls because I couldn't be an orc at the time, and I love being like some kind of big beefy tusked idiot. So that's a lot of fun, but the Mun are so interesting of a race that anytime I get to engage with them at all, I jump at it because there's so much lore there that I love it. It's great.
I think this is the first time we've seen Athene in chat. Welcome to Athene. And I want to remind everybody the last stocking giveaway is happening, so type !ticket if you'd like to enter.
I don't know if I did or not. Let's find out.
You did.
I did.
For
Okay.
this one, yeah. There's only 5 people entered this one. Oh, 6, 7.
There you go. You just have to remind people.
Yeah, yeah.
If you've already won one, don't enter again.
Yeah.
Correct.
People have already done that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But nobody's won twice so far, so.
So that works out.
Trying to remember, I never got super far into Achaea when I played it. I mean, I got to level 50, which is actually a relatively significant time investment at the time because it was years ago. And I was completely new and terrible. But what I can't remember is whether or not their all-in forest is super fleshed out or not, because ours obviously turned into the Bloodwood. But
It's
I've-
pretty well developed and got a facelift last year as well.
See, I'm jealous of that. I love getting solo lore.
The Solar lore and the Sol prefix races in general are like some of the most well-developed lore in Achaea, with the Solar, the Soldasi, and the Solteth. All very cool. We actually created an army of Mun to invade a city in Achaea during the last Solteth invasion, and unfortunately got them all killed by accident.
Oh no.
Oops.
Oh no.
Like 200 NPCs following me, and they accidentally all got killed by the mechanics unintentionally.
Oh no.
But in classic Mun tradition,
Yeah, it really is.
they related the story to the world at large and made it seem like the greatest triumph they'd ever had,
Good lord.
storming the gates of Maldor.
Oh. Did they at
Love
least
the
get to
Mun.
tell Maldor to eat shit before they died?
It's in their holy book. That's all I'm saying. He was like, I want all your gems, and the Mun was like, hey, go get the gems from our privies because they shine the brightest.
Oh,
Like,
my.
hell yeah, king shit.
Yeah, I
Love him.
absolutely love the Mun in both
They're
games.
so
They're probably my
great.
favorite race.
They're so interesting. And we had for a while, the Mun queen before she stopped being queen, and her daughter's friend staying in Anorian, to hide from assassins, basically. And this little Mun brat was ordering like Rasani around like it was magnificent. Whoever played them, fantastic work. I just love how bold they are. They take shit from nobody, and I love it. Great race, very fun. She was great. The Cleotin Tesh, I think her name was. She was excellent.
Yep.
She led a war with other it was a tagging war, really. They just graffitied our sewers. Now it's all over the place in the sewer. Our sewer's lit up with graffiti. It's magnificent.
That's where I remember seeing that from. Yes.
Yes.
I can go
Cleotin
down there and
Tesh.
show people too.
They had territory divides.
It's hilarious.
It's so good.
I need to find it great so I can go show people.
Oh, here's a good question for you, Tennis. Will we see more of Jared Grown Bierman?
Oh no.
Almost certainly.
Yes. My favorite NPC.
But more favorite than Copperhead?
I think so, actually. I love
Ooh.
Copperhead, but Jared Grown Bierman is. Can you pull up his honors, Eric, if you'd
Oh,
be so
no.
kind? I think
How
he's
do you
had
spell
3
it?
alcohols.
How do you spell it?
It's Jared, as in Jared, and then Grown Bierman, as it sounds.
I might have typoed it or something. Gerard.
Oh, it's Jared with Jarrod. My apologies.
Oh, I see. Somebody told me through Tells being off to honors Gerard. There you go. Nice. Look at that.
That was hilarious.
He's tasted 2 alcohols. Okay.
2.
Magnificent. I love
Successfully.
him.
How many
He
unsuccessfully?
fought in the war.
Yeah, he fought in the Great War, the very dangerous war.
Very
This-
dangerous war.
This raises a very important question. Why doesn't Copperhead have an honors?
Right?
Copperhead should have an honors.
Yeah, Copperhead should have an honors.
Copperhead
Seriously.
probably should have an honors.
Yeah.
I love Copperhead. I liked that. I also liked that Copperhead laughed at us because we couldn't stop beating each other up for just like a second.
Yeah. That was good.
There are a few NPCs that could use honors in general because I think it started out with just a few things. You know, Carithrim having an honors of being eating gods and whatever. I think that it would be really nice to just go through, and if anyone has information to add, maybe you can ask people to send them in, save you the trouble, just to add some more people into the honor system that are NPCs that have done something, like Sir Cluck.
Oh,
I
man.
love Sir Cluck.
It would be kind of nice.
Where is the old man? Let me find him real
Sir
quick.
Cluck. If you salute him, he crows at you. Magnificent.
As he should. Where is he?
I don't know what his power level is, but I hope he's really hard to kill. Like, I want just one person to be like, we got
There
into
he
the
is.
Templar Guild Hall, let's kill their chicken, and he just decimates you. I want him to be able to one-shot Riot, is how strong I want him to be.
No, just make it like the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, oh yeah, many chickens.
Yeah, you mess with the one chicken and suddenly there's a swarm.
Sir Cluck is fantastic. I like the fire-breathing ducks we have in Anorian.
Oh, yeah, I remember them. They're in that one spot. I can't remember where though. Like it's a
It's the
fishing
south-
hole that we use usually.
Yeah, south east of the temple area.
Yeah,
stuff.
they
It says the non-Enorium person.
I love the ducks. I actually, you know what? I do have like a serious question for you. Actually,
Mm.
I don't know how familiar you are with the Dwamvi drop. But at the time, 3 of us were reached out to by admin, and we were given the opportunity to. We were given old Dwamvi souls, so we saved Dwamvi because their bodies were falling apart. At the time, when we spoke to admin about it, they warned us, like, hey, just so you know, this may have implications for you down the line in the story of the game. Is that still a plan for like the people who talked to admin and accepted that as part of their RP, I suppose, or is it going to just sort of be kind of because you weren't sure what was being planned, like it's going to go to the wayside or that side sort of thing?
As far as I know, everything that was planned for Duanvi is still intended,
Okay,
but I will be the first to admit I don't know a ton about it.
totally fair. It's probably not very high up on the list to deal with right now.
It's still a bit information overload even after 4 months.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there slowly.
I'd take your time. I mean, you're doing a ton for the game. As we said earlier, the game's been the most fun it's been in a long time in the short time that you've been here. So,
Oh, Copperhead now has an honors, by the way.
hell yeah.
Oh, let's see it here.
Excellent.
It is not a clock. Well, thank goodness for that.
That fame line, that last one.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh. I'm gonna nitpick and I'm gonna say you need to put a period on the end of invaders.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will submit it as a typo like I always do.
Okay, I fixed it.
Okay. Thanks goodness. There we go.
I like the note its social protocols are ineffective because, I mean, maybe to some extent, but I think it works.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has a fan club. People are very pleased by Copperhead.
Yeah. Team
He's not-
Copperhead is definitely going to be a channel emote whenever I get around to making them.
Hell yeah. Now give us were penguins. Look, you have to choose between were penguins or were unicorns, and I think more people will want were unicorns.
Please, no.
Zarni loved were unicorns. He wanted it to be his were class the whole time. Like, I think he was devastated when it was changed back.
Will we ever, in fact, see any kind of new wear of any kind? Like, at all? That's what serious question.
I'm not ruling it out, but I don't have any current plans.
Gotcha. As much as I like being a bear, I would like to be a were-tiger.
Yeah, I think a lot more can be done with the shifter forms we have currently before they start adding more.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we hit an ad.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I haven't seen an ad so far, so
Well, whatever Twitch did made my ad blocker stop working, and I have been too lazy to find a new one.
yeah.
I got a black screen for a hot second, but no
Uh-oh.
ad.
Man, what's
I
going
didn't
on?
get anything. So yeah, but making something more with shapeshifters in general would probably be a good idea. I think it could be fun.
You're probably a little
the,
biased. Me too, but
well, I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
I agree. But I think
Copperhead has been a shapeshifter since the beginning. She's had a lot of classes added to it, but she's been a wolf from 18 years old. So, yes, I am a bit biased. But at the same time, you have the pack system could be expanded on or, reformed in some way and used. You have the faction system that could be used. Yeah, there are a lot of things that could be.
yep. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tennis. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to add that we'd be much more likely to build on what's already there than to introduce more stuff when the existing has
Yeah.
a lot of potential. That's another thing that's on the ever-growing list, is
Yeah.
to look at the existing shapeshifter situation.
I mean,
Get a
just
sort of blurred vision of this list of yours. It would, you can just blur it enough that we can't see what it actually says. Just show us how long it is.
I reckon it would take many pages.
oh,
Currently has 131 items on it.
Oh,
Ooh,
well then.
goodness.
Let's see. That's a good list.
Is that the largest it has been? Or has
No.
it? Wow. Okay.
Probably
okay.
not even close.
Nice.
yeah, I was gonna say you guys have made a lot of good progress,
Yeah.
so I would imagine it used to be quite a bit longer.
Well, so you want to get into that, Wyatt? So I have a little story about that, and Rowan in chat will know what I'm talking about. We were talking about this in the Spirit Web the other night. Like, I said that I think that the new neutral class will probably at very least be intelligence based or magic based. And then we got to thinking about, well, what would be a good neutral magic? We already have shadow, we have all the elements and stuff. And then my idea was that we're gonna have some kind of time mage or chronomancer or something. But obviously, Ictenas can't say anything here. But that was my guess. And then
Only
we
that
got
it's
to
not
talking.
werecats.
Right.
Yeah, all we
Yeah.
know is it's not werecats.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talking about bards,
That would be cool too.
jesters.
I think that would be cool.
Oh, I can also confirm it is not pariah. I'm assuming, is that Almol in the chat?
Yeah, it is.
How could you get?
I would, like I said, I would like a swashbuckler class. Some kind of entirely neutral, like blade wielding class would be cool. And swashbuckler would go right along with a pirate themed town. So just putting that out there.
I would take Rasadi's swashbuckler idea and just make sure it's a dexterity based class
Right.
because we
Right.
don't really have a lot of those.
Right.
I think you see Saren in chat has mentioned Spirit Web was torn between Blade Master and Chronomancer. Blade Master is my own relatively personal crusade of what I hope it is. And I'm just saying, you could introduce Blade
Anna?
Masters in a town of Goblin Samurai.
That's right.
You and these
Oh.
goblin samurai.
Oh boy.
Lordy.
I'm just saying. It's
You're
possible.
just saying you want goblin samurai. I get it.
Listen, I'm with Kurak. I want a Vodun class. I want to troll people with Vodun on Aetolia, like I did on Empyrean. But everybody hated Vodun. That's why it's been like deleted on every game or whatever, except for Achaea.
Alright, guys. I need to duck out. So it's been a pleasure being around. Nice talking to you, Ines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great talking to
likewise.
you.
Have a good night, Tiani.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
See ya. Thanks
Yes,
for
you as
coming.
well.
All right. But it could be any number of things. I think it would kind of be nice to have like either dexterity or int based for neutrals, since like, pretty much all of them are strength based in some way. Obviously Sisson can do strength or dexterity when they're bashing and stuff, but
Wayfarer can too.
yeah.
All their thrown attacks are based on dex.
Right. But I think, and obviously there's people who can be like, well, the monks can use intelligence for Kai choke or whatever, and I'm just like, that's not realistic. So I think it would be cool to see some kind of int-based class. Then they don't need to be like wizards. They could be something else. Who knows? Maybe some kind of scholar class. I don't know. But we
You
have
can make
archivists
them-
for that. But
You can make them int dex a little bit like Indorani and Iromancer and have it be like a strategist type beat with a little bit of scaling on int versus a little scaling on dex. Sort of like how Indorani you pick between Bone Dagger or I don't remember. Is it Decay?
yeah.
Okay.
Or I think it's Starlight for an Aeromancer, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember the Aniromancer ones a lot better, unfortunately.
I also think, like, back on a conversation we had on I think a weekday stream, some kind of ranger class, like not like a sentinel, but I mean like a dex based arrow class, some kind of thing like that.
Right.
Empyrean tried to do it, and
Yeah.
it didn't work. We
Yeah.
ended up just like making it a melee class.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
A warden. I
'Cause
think
that
it
could
was
be
wardens
cool.
on there, I believe.
The wardens and Amazons, yeah.
Yep. With the glaives and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
I-
ranged classes are really hard to pull off in text because you don't have the spatial
Yeah.
Right.
opportunities that you
Yeah.
have in graphical games. And it tends to come down to if ranged is powerful enough to kill people, then it's completely unfun for whoever they're killing.
Right.
Right.
And vice versa, if ranged isn't viable, then it kind of defeats the point of having the class to begin with.
Right.
That's true. A Chevalier would actually be kind of cool. A mounted combat class.
Yeah.
I do gotta agree real quick with Almal, who's saying, how can you be more ranger than sentinel? The reason Aku exists as he does is because when I made Aku, however many years ago, I would always play Elf Ranger, so it's like, Soulless Sentinel, perfect. I feel like
Well,
they
that-
really do fit the niche.
Oh,
Elf
no,
Ranger is a really original character choice too.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely like I was definitely thinking more of like because Sentinels have the Ranger aesthetic, but when you're talking about like most Rangers I've played with like in D&D or something are arrow based, which I guess you guys have the capability to do with your little wrist mounted crossbows, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody use one.
We don't have them anymore, is why. Yeah.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah, we
We
just use
have,
normal crossbows now.
Yeah, I think crossbows are the better Sentinel ranged weapon because
Yeah.
longbows are lower stats.
So
I
we
don't
have
really
a
know
whole
how much
we have
bow stats
fletching
matter.
that like nobody uses. Is I guess why I thought some kind of arrow class would be cool, because fletching is a skill that I don't see anybody have any need for.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah.
If there were more special arrows you could make in fletching, I think it would probably be better.
Probably,
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was honestly, I was pretty happy when I picked up fletching. I made some bow designs for myself and then discovered I couldn't use dark bows.
Right.
So I have a really cool
yeah.
dark bow design, which I'll give to someone at some point probably. But I kind of, I think it would be nice if it had more stuff you could do with it for sure. But I do think like the main draw of it to me was that I could design ranged weapons, and that is what I've done with it. So
Yep. That reminds me, I got a customization certificate in one of my gift bags from doing Flintbeard, I think. And I should use that on my bow. I haven't customized it yet.
I still have to. I have an armor alteration signet that I still haven't decided what to do with it. And I really need to.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have any more questions for Ictinus specifically before we probably get out of here in a little while?
Yeah, I was about to say I should probably go soon. I have some stuff to do.
Yeah.
I could probably stay on till 5.
I'm kind of hungry myself.
I'm just looking over. I think we went over pretty much everything. Yeah.
I think so. Even with goofing off.
Oh, I guess we didn't really talk about the Flintbeard stuff, but I just want to flex real quick and say that I got 5th on the speedruns.
Oh, I
I'm
didn't
never
even know
gonna do that well
I forgot
again.
there was a list.
Yeah, I'm never gonna do that well again. I was running like 3 different chocolates at the same time.
Oh man, look at that.
Did you guys enjoy the Grinch?
Yes, once I
Listen.
went in and actually understood what I was doing, I felt it's a lot like playing other MMOs where it was just the first time you do something, if you don't understand it, it can be very confusing
Yeah,
and hard to deal with. But once you go in with someone who knows, or once you've like done it enough that you pick it up, it's makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I didn't think it was like before I did it for the first time, there was a lot of people being like, "Oh man, it's a pain. You have to do this," and or it's almost impossible. And then when I did it for the first time, I was like, "This really isn't that." I mean,
yeah,
it's
it's
not.
very punishing if you make mistakes, but I think it's quite straightforward
Yeah.
once you know.
It didn't
I think-
seem as crazy as people were telling me. So
Well, I think the problem is that people at first thought that you were supposed to fight the Grinch. And that's why they felt it was very difficult, because they were like, what the hell, we can't beat this guy. Once they realized that they just needed to run from him, I think that it became a lot less punishing to them.
let's see.
The
here.
biggest
you do
problem
still
I
need to
saw
kill the
was,
Grinch.
people allowing themselves to have 8 Grinches in the dungeon. That was it.
Yeah, that was me.
That was the
me
highlight
the
of the
first
first
time I
time.
went through.
Speaking of like dungeon content, is that something you want to do more in the new year?
Definitely. I really enjoy designing and making that sort of stuff. I didn't make the Grinch personally, Raz did, but I liked that sort of work. So definitely something we want to see more of.
Okay.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed every time I've gotten to do it, and I don't feel too bad when I miss out on a day of it personally. I know maybe, that might not be the most popular opinion of it, but I kind of prefer it when I prefer dungeons when they feel kind of low stress like that. Like I don't feel like I have to do it every single day.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Almal said in chat, can we have a dozen more areas like Zanhall? And I completely agree, and I've been saying that for like 10 years. But they always tell me, it's not doable. We can't have too many instances. It's too much. And then we always have more instances that aren't bashing areas. So, I don't know.
Well, I think one, yes, there's probably a way that they could do more instances. I think it's just a matter of, manpower and stuff like that. But two, I would reckon that like some of these instances, like the one with the ship, that's not active anymore. They used it for an event and then they got rid of it. So I would guess that it's a little, it. I would imagine that there's something to that. But you're probably right. They could probably do more instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some limitations, but they shouldn't be prohibitive in new content, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like some people are okay, like Rowan said in chat about scarcity of bashing zones being a thing. But there's some people that are just like, and I'm one of them. I really hate playing these games for fun and having to compete for resources. I don't think that that's fun. I've never felt like that's fun. But I understand why it's a game, like why it is in the game, because like just like in other games, you also have to have variance. You can't have everything be a constant.
Yeah, I think if there's too much instance content, it does take something away from the idea of like it being a living world somewhat.
Right.
Mhm.
But it also seems kind of weird that Zanhall is like the only thing that exists like it after all these years.
Beneath.
I mean,
You just mean bashing areas.
yeah, like it's still
Yeah.
the only one that's like that at all after
Yeah.
all this time. But it is what it is.
It's weird that this gets brought up because I kind of like the instance bashing areas because during the war we had a lot of people who would like go and try and like arrest people out of the instance. So it's kind of interesting. Like you can go to that room, set up the room, and then pull that person out of the instance and then jump them. That actually felt like way more fruitful of a way to gank. Like people were doing it to like mines and stuff too during the war. I kind of want to see more of that or more possibility of that.
Of just ganking people while they're in instances.
No, like that specific way of being able to pull people out of it. Like I have no problems with instant bashing zones because then I know exactly what room I have to go to and
Yeah.
what room I have to set up.
Yeah, being able
and-
to set up the ambush versus just like
I
walking
see.
through
Yes,
the area.
yes. I gotcha.
you can still do that in a normal bashing area because like a lot of them are like kind of linear. Like if you go into like spiral, you could set up a room like way up ahead of them and
Yeah.
jump them
Yeah.
when they get there. But it's I guess like it's a lot easier to know exactly what room I have to go to and like what room I have to set up and what I can do, and then from there being able to pull them out of that instance reliably. It just feels a little different and it feels a little more successful.
That's fair.
I did want to touch a little bit on how instanced areas can still feel like part of the living, breathing world. I thought that the Zacera ship, the Midnight Serpent, did that really well because the ship would move. So
Yeah.
it was instanced, but you were still traveling to the entrance, and the entrance was in a different place each time. I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with how that went overall. I know there was a little bit of consternation at the start with the 4-hour cooldown, but that was just kind of by necessity, really, more than anything. But we reduced it as the event went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do more in that sort of vein as well. The idea of having to go and find where it's docked adds a bit of excitement and mystery to it.
Yeah. Variance, which is always good.
Next time it's going to be an airship that can fly from any zone to any zone within 3 zones of it.
Oh,
We gotta run down the Dracothi airships.
no, no.
Cannot figure them
Gotta
out.
shoot them out of the air with our ship that has bomb throwers.
Yeah.
Lance.
The Lance.
You just use
Listen.
Lance.
The
Yeah.
Dracothi they just show up in their airships and commit war crimes and then fly away. I think we just
I
we gotta figure out a way to deal with it.
Yeah, I actually think that'd be kind of cool for like, them to land an area and take it over like temporarily, and it's
I
kind of like a batching event.
I had hoped, honestly. It was very nice of my good friend Ethne to protect Honorian from the Hekathi, but I low key hoped that they would start landing, and then we in the city would have to fight them off. Particularly because there were a lot of times when everybody in the city left and it was just me there, and I looked forward to dying. I was like, this will be a cool fucking thing to like fight these people off as well as I can, and so I definitely agree that it would be cool to have these events where like we have to retake an area from the Hekathi, and that's one of those things where even if it's a place like Spine's Reach or something, we would probably help them not because we want to help Spine's Reach, but because we can't let the Hekathi have a base of operations, essentially. So, it would be really cool. I hope we see more of the Drakathi and that kind of thing, because they are a good like they're kind of tied to the Albedi, but they're more their own kind of thing. Because they don't seem like they're on a holy war; they just seem like they're conquerors.
Right.
On that same note, I thought it was great how everybody organized the like 3-pronged defense while the ship event was running.
It was so good.
The
It was
docks,
great.
the confluence, and on the ship itself.
It,
Any of you that were defending the confluence can blame Valerie for why you died, by the way.
I was about to bring it up. Yeah.
I remember that.
I I know why, like, the three-pronged thing was great. I know I felt a little bit like, "Oh, well, maybe I would have been more useful somewhere else," but I do think it made good role play sense to have those three-pronged defenses, and sometimes that's the best way to do it. Even if you're like, "I don't think anything's gonna happen here," it makes a better story if you're prepared for everything.
Yeah, because we had Copperhead basically say to me, and he said, and I'm not sure. I think Illical was there too. I'm not certain, but Copperhead basically said, yeah, there's like a 0.2% chance that the Hekathi show up here again. It's fine. I'm gonna go to Spine's Reach.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Ha 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 ha.
I'm not worried at all about this. You meatbags stay right here.
Oh boy. Yeah, and being on the ship
Fantastic
was a
event.
lot of fun during the battle. It's something I'll probably never forget, and it was nice that there was those of us that got to do it, and get to have that memory. It was very cool.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was very cool. It was terrifying being on the docks, watching these krakens show up,
Yeah,
and
that
you
was
guys
wild.
about to get your shit kicked in. That was something. And we on the city even tried to, because Rulin wasn't there, so like Kalina and I were talking to each other like, can we try to get to the Lance? Can we try to do anything? But it was Slife ended up coming in and helping
Yeah.
out. But it wound up being pretty interesting. It was a tense event, even though nothing was happening to us on the docks. Like, it was still tense because we knew that if the ship went down, which we assumed it had a very real possibility of going down, that they
Right.
would then come to us. And there was only, by the time like that was happening, there was maybe 3 of us in Honorian, because all of Bamathas's people had gone to the confluence because they were being overrun.
Yeah. It
So
was
it was really cool.
it was a very epic event, and I made it a little more epic for myself personally because I made it to where like I triggered on whenever I fired a bomb thrower that a sound would play of a cannon firing.
Nice.
So I don't know. It was kind of fun. I had a little system for firing the bomb throwers, but the way the bomb throwers worked, you couldn't like rapid fire them, so it wasn't like unbalanced or anything. But we were shooting the Leviathans as quickly as we could because they were like right on top of the ship on the map, but they just kept spawning faster than we could kill them until Slife came. But Uran Milo was there too and is in chat. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
It was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was really fun putting it together. And the same for I don't think any of you were there because you're all spirit now that Tiani's gone. The cog mind was amazing.
Oh,
as
I wish
well.
I could have seen
I
that
got
too.
to see screenshots
Yeah, me
of it, and
too.
it looked
I
incredible.
mean, technically, Eosid was there.
Oh no. Oh no.
We all know Eosid. We dealt with the aftermath of that. We're aware.
Oh boy. Yeah, it looked really cool
I'd do
too.
it
I
all
wish,
again too.
I wish we had somebody that could talk about it because that looked really fun as
Yeah.
well.
The user interface that Raz made for it was just fantastic.
It looked so cool. It looked really cool. I liked that Copperhead was this. There's a lot of interesting stuff. That really this whole event brought a lot of interesting things to the forefront.
Like more
Um,
reasons for us to kill each other instead of come together.
Well, yes, that. But also like honestly, I think we're going to start seeing conflict. I guess it depends on how it's handled within cities, but we are already starting to see characters who are saying, you know what,
Oh,
clearly we don't know everything about these Elbedi, and it was foolish to believe that Bamathus would tell us the truth. So, like, we're starting to see what could very well become conflict within cities of, do we have people that still firmly believe that Bamathus, even though he sucks, is doing the right thing? Or do we have, Elbedi heretics? Like, it'll be interesting. I'm very excited to see what happens.
You know, out of character, I absolutely do feel bad for Bamathus, especially, I'm not sure if it's clear yet or not if Bamathus's original shell is from the pre-free will era. Um, so in a sense, Bamathus never really
Has
had
free will?
yeah, I mean, like, it makes total sense. Bamathus, my understanding of the character, Bamathus says this stuff not because he's lying, but because he believes it. And
Oh,
he believes it
certainly.
because he's been conditioned
Told to
to,
believe it,
especially if he did not have free will beforehand.
Well, we are coming to that sort of conclusion with a few of the gods. Chakrasol in particular was brought up quite a bit in this thing that we've had. And I think I think it's kind of twofold, because one, Rasani met his shell and didn't like him then either. So part of it is Rasani being like, that guy was a prick. And it just continues into dealing with Bamathus.
He kind of was.
He was a total a-hole. And he was Ankirian, so you expect it.
Mhm.
So, like, you kind of expect that from him because they're these master race slaver types. And, it's what it is. So, one, you've got that. But two, there is some part of even Rasani who goes, this guy has no idea what he's getting into. Like, he's got no clue what's going on, and he keeps getting his ass kicked by all these Helvetii gods. He's 0 for 2 right now. Like, he has not succeeded at all.
Nope.
But that doesn't matter. The point that matters is that every god, even the ones who, are being told what to do by Varian, we're learning gets to make a choice, because we're seeing some gods go, you know what, something's wrong here, something doesn't smell right, like, we have to look into this. Ethne, for example, has been like, we told her everything that happened at the confluence, and she decided that she wants us to investigate, and if there are Elbedi that are good, then there's no reason for us to go to war with them, or at least the good ones. Like, you can fight the bad ones, but the good ones we might not have to fight, sort of thing. But then you have gods who, like, particularly Severn, who
You
in
bully.
theory knows everything. He's been there from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that gods can make their own choices just like mortals do. But because probably because his shell was also very devoted to Varian, he wants Daddy to love him, is what it boils down to. So he's willing to do whatever it takes, much like Severn is, it seems, to get that attention and affection from his father. Basically, all of the gods are dealing with one abusive dad that went to buy cigarettes, and when he comes back in, tells them all they're bad, and then goes out to buy more cigarettes.
There we go again.
So, like, that's kind of what we're dealing with. And, you know, it'll be interesting, to say the least. But all that is a roundabout way of saying I totally understand people feeling bad for Bamathis. However, we know that our gods are capable of making choices. The only one who we think might not be totally within their right mind so far is Chakrasol, because we were just told that she isn't. That she was so different from how she is now that way back then, you know, our god of valor and truth thought it would be kinder to kill her. So, like, we know that she's so far removed from who she used to be. And that is, you know, she's the only one I think, at least as far as Rosani is concerned, gets a free pass because something happened to her. We don't know what yet, but something has happened to her.
All I know is that through all of this, all I'm thinking is that Rosani should definitely be the narrator of the game, if one existed.
Something happened to Bamathis. Nothing's happened to Bamathis. He's still there. Don't worry about that.
For now.
Yeah, Bamathis has just made some decisions that I think put the character Bamathis in a really
Tough
interesting place going forward, like what the character chooses to do going forward.
And
Because
yeah,
I think you could really argue that the decision that was recently made, you know, betraying Heron's trust and bringing in Severn, would be kind of like the deciding moment. But I do think it's still, the character is in an interesting place, because if you did not have free will as a shell, does getting turned into a god give you that free will? And if you are suddenly given free will,
you
when
act
do
any
you
different.
realize it?
Yeah. I think one, the person who's playing Bamathis right now did a really good job, because even in those emotes, a lot of people are like, "Oh no, he just did the rational good thing a commander would do." That's not the feeling I got from Bamathis. I got the feeling that he called in Severn because he got scared. And I'm sure anybody, if I said that in character to anybody that follows Bamathis, they'd behead me. But, it struck me as somebody watching as he was afraid, and he doesn't know Hearn well, but the brother he knows the best is Severn. So it almost felt like a younger sibling calling for their older sibling to help them beat up a bully. And I think that that's so interesting, that that's the way that it went. And I can understand that fear. And that's what made Bamathis. That's why I think the player who has Bamathis right now is doing a really good job at playing this guy who is suddenly a god and is supposed to do this thing, but is still new at this, and is still, at the end of the day, the youngest out of all of them.
Also, we're going to be joined by another shadow person here in a moment.
Oh, damn!
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it, like, I think every time I've been on the show, but everyone playing the gods has done so well.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, and I've only gotten to interact with some of them, but Mothis I've gotten to interact with, and I think super well played. Hearn, super well played. Ome, super well played. Brief interactions with Demariel seems super well played. It's just, I just feel like it's a continuation of the pools doing a really great job recently. But The gods, especially, I have thought have um, been played really well, both in terms of playing their character and in terms of making an impact on what's going on in the world.
I agree.
Yep. I haven't seen a whole lot of it, all the way, the way things have been going. But like, whenever one of our gods in Norien talks on CT, it's really cool. I know that there's been some people that I have on Discord or that I talk to in game that like have got their first bit of interaction from certain ones recently, and that's been really cool to hear. That stuff's always going to leave a lasting impact on people, I think, and that's
Yeah, I
really
think
what we're
it
here to do.
creates one of the most like long-lasting memories the first time you have the shit scared out of you by a god.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it really does. In fact, the first time a god scared the shit out of me, it wasn't even one of our gods. It was literally the first event I joined was the Mawadi event. So the first god that scared the shit out of me was an Albedi god who had forced themselves into the corpse of something to talk to us. So cool and terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a dog outside.
Also, said shadow person is going to come on, just not today. I misunderstood them.
I see.
But it's okay.
All right. Well, I have to
Probably
bounce.
go.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's time to go. Thanks
It's
for
time to
coming,
go.
everyone. Thanks for being here, Ectennis. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Yes, it was a delight to chat with you.
Thanks for the invite and thanks for the card. It was great.
Thanks.
Yes.
Let's all go eat and do whatever, and let's all go play Aetolia. So
Sounds
see
good.
you next time.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Catch you guys later.